Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of where Issei was neglected and snapped. What happens when Issei's heart is betrayed by those he loved? How would he survive after the heartache? Will he go rogue, or will he advance even greater in heights not seen? But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into the story. Chapter 1, Wounded Heart. Issei, who am I to you? Asked Rias with concern. What do you mean? You're the president, and Rai, Issei said till he got cut off. Idiot! Shouted Rias as she slapped him hard enough to push him away. Issei put his hand on his cheek in shock, then the other members of the orc started to insult him in the process. Issei, you're such a fool, shouted Akino, snapping at him. You're terrible, Issei. How could you, Asia, say, joining in? Seriously, do we have to spell it out for you? Geez, says Kiba while putting his hand on his face. You're such a baka, Issei. I'm dense, but this takes the cake. Zenobia said, chipping in the insult. You're the worst, Kaneko says with a disappointed look. I can't believe you. How can you be so blind? Says Irina while wiggling her finger in a no way. Issei is stunned and just a lot of everyone is confused. So far only people that have not belittled him are Ravel, Rosewaz, and Gasper. Gasper, do you hate me too? Asked Issei with a confused face. Sorry, senpai, you have done a horrible thing, said Gasper, but not as harshly as the others. But why? Asked Issei, still confused. Issei decided to use his bilingual skills mind to see if he could understand and help to clear things up, but all he could hear was hate, and worst was from Rias. You absolute fool. Akino's inner voice. You clueless moron. Irina's inner voice. And people said I was dumb. Zenovia's inner voice. What is wrong with you? Asia's inner voice. Pervert. Kaneko's inner voice. What just happened? Ravel's inner voice. Let him finish, Rias. Roswaz's inner voice. You're such a bastard. I agree as inner voice. Are you serious right now? Damn it. I regret even reincarnating you. I should have let Raymore kill you twice. Riser sounds like a better backup lover. I regret breaking the marriage to him, Rias shouted in anger. The room was silenced and everyone looked shocked with wide eyes and mouths agape. Issei looked at Rias with a blank expression. He then shed a tear and figured out what she meant by letting Reiner kill him. Rias saw this and realized what she had just said. Oh no. Issei, said Rias but got cut off by Issei. No, it's okay, don't apologize. Issei said as he sighed. Issei, I didn't mean it, Rias says while trying to correct what she said. No. You did. You all did. Apart from Ravel and Rosways, Issei said as he gestured to them. I'm glad you were all honest with me. You let me die, which means you would have let Asia die when you could have saved us. With your power, it would have been so easy. You reincarnated me to teach Riser a lesson, and I did it. Now that he's a better person and you're free, what do you need me for? I'm just a pawn, a tool, a slave after all. You use me because I have the boosted gear and you're a devil. Issei said as he sighed and tears came down his face. Right now, Issei was barely managing to keep his breathing stable. His body felt cold to him, and each word he spoke made his voice tremble. His face expressed every negative emotion, meaning hate, disdain, fear, anxiety, etc. That's not what Shiakino tries to say but is cut off by Issei. I'll see you guys at the rating game. I promise Sarek a good fight. Take care, guys. Master, Issei says as he starts to walk out of the door. Rias, you let him die. Roswa's inner voice. What the? Ravel's inner voice. As Issei approaches the door, Rias grabs his hand to try to talk to him, but his gauntlet appears. Let go, Gremory. You'll only make it worse. Drake said with an angry tone. Issei, please listen. Rias said. Issei lets out a powerful aura that symbolizes the rage he's feeling, and he looks at her and the others, except for Rosways and Ravel, with so much hate. Let me go. Gremory, roared Issei. Rias let go of him and backed off. He called her by her last name. He had never done that to her. Issei stopped releasing his bloodlust-filled aura. "Oh, you dare, Rias!" Ross was shouted with such an angry tone. Rias and everyone froze as Ross had never raised her voice like that before. "I feel like this is my fault," Ravel said, looking upset and with head down. "This is our problem. We can only expect you to do some things, but we appreciate the offer. I'm sorry to ask this, but please go home for now. I need to find Issei." "Very well, I hope Issei is alright," Ravel says with a worried look. "I doubt it," Razwa said with a sad look. Ravel teleports home through the magic circle, and then Razwa looks at all of them with pure rage. "Now start talking," Razwa screamed out. Everyone in the room was frightened by the sudden change of Razwa's. "You guys let Asa die and would have let Asia die," Razwa said with a scornful look. I, Ria stuttering. "Speak up," Razwa shouted. "Okay, yes, I let him die. He told us to help save Asia and we did, but not fast enough to do it when she was still human," Ria shouted with tears going down her face. "You said that you should have let Rainer kill him twice. Does that mean you knew he was a target? Also, that Asia was a target?" Razwa said as she raised her voice at the end. Rios was left with her mouth open, nothing coming out. That silence could only mean yes, you knew that the fallen were after them, but you let them die so you could use them to get out of a marriage. "I did my research." Rios was left stunned. Rose looked at everyone else. Asia was crying as she glared at Rios, but some anger was directed towards herself. "You knew this the whole time, Rios. He risked life and limb for you and us, and this is how we repay him," Asia said while the tears went down her face. "Did the rest of you know about her plans as well?" Rossweiss asked now with a questionable look. In echo, Kiba and Aquino looked away in shame and showed their guilt. "No. I was sealed away," Gasper said while in his box. "But why?" Rose was asked with a curious look. "I couldn't control my powers," Gasper said, looking down in shame. Rose looked at Rios. "So, instead of helping him, you sealed him away. Wow, I can't believe you right now," Razwa says while disappointed. "Is it so hard for him to say my name and say he loves me?" Rios shouted, trying to change the subject. "Stop changing the subject. You didn't let him finish. I could tell him he's in love with you." "But that," Razwa leaves the orc to look for Issei. "What have we done?" Irina says while trying to hold her tears back. "I was cruel to him," Gasper said, now crying in his box. Rios started to sob uncontrollably. Kaneko stopped eating her sweets and had a shadow over her eyes. Kiba's hands were shaking, Aquino sat motionlessly, and Zenobia held her head. Asia ran out the door, looking for him. "We messed up. Big time," Irina says while sniffing. Outside, Rosways was running out of the school's main gate and saw Issei walking in the distance. She managed to catch up to him within seconds. "Issei, wait up!" shouted Ross in desperation. Issei didn't respond and kept walking until Rosways grabbed him by his hand and he stopped, but he never faced her. "Please let go. I need to be alone," said Issei, sniffing and trying to hold in his tears. "No, Issei, we need to talk about it," Razwa said, hoping he would come around. "What's there to talk about? You heard her? I'm just a pervert that shouldn't be alive," Issei explained while still sniffling, breaking her grip on his hand and carrying on walking. "Issei, please talk to me," Rose pleaded. "I'm sorry, but I have nothing to say to anyone. I'm going to go. I have a lot to think about, so I'll see you at school tomorrow, Sensei," Issei said and was going from view. Rosways just watched him disappear, knew not to pursue it any further, and thought he needed to heal right and not by force. She turned around, headed back to school, and bumped into Asia on the way back. "Where is he?" asked Asia with tears coming down her face. "He needs to be alone. Let's leave him be," Razwa said with a worried tone. "But I need to apologize to him," Asia said and sniffed when she said it. "I know that, but it won't heal the damage done. Come back to the club room. We all need to talk." Razwa said now with a tone of determination to get to the bottom of this. Roswaist and Asia made their way back to the Orc, while Asia wept the whole time, only to find out she was left to die only to be used, and the only one in the same boat was her savior, and she hurt him. Roswaist took her inside and left her in the Orc. She then called Azazel, but it went straight to voicemail. She thought he might be carefree, but he was also very caring, especially to his students, and more caring to his Issei, who is unique. Hey Azazel, it's me. We have a serious situation here. It's Issei. He's just Sam. You can help him right now. Razwa says, leaving the message on his phone. Issei, POV. After leaving Rosius and others behind, he got inside his home, dropped his school bag in his room, and changed into his training clothes, a vest and shorts made from durable material. He went to the underground training field and just started training to vent his frustrations. A lance breaker. Promotion to Rook, shouted Issei. Welsh Dragon boosted gear scale male. Welsh Dragon a crook solid impact. Drake responded from his boosted gear. Many targets appeared and Issei started to punch them. He needed strength and power against Sarag. He kept hitting and boosting, but he felt as if each punch he threw was weaker than the last. Come on. What's wrong with me? Issei asked himself. Issei, you know why? Drake said with a sad tone. Issei just stood there stumped, knowing why. You need to let out your frustrations, partner. You're angry, stop holding it in. Drake said as he was angry with the Crimson Princess as well. Suddenly Issei's balance breaker armor disappeared and he fell to his knees. He looked at the somewhat broken target dummies and started to cry, and he tried to hold back the tears. Real men don't cry, don't be a bitch. Don't be weak, Issei said, trying to force himself to stop crying. But it was of no use, and he broke down more and more each time he tried to calm himself within mere seconds. Only his loud cries could be heard. He punched the ground, and each punch created cracks since he was in his rope promotion still. His knuckles were bloody, mixed with tears flowing from his eyes. After all I went through, Rogue Fallen, Freed Kakabiel, Riser, Volume 1, Diodora, Loki, Juggernaut Drive, Cow, Chaos Brigade, and for what? Issei screamed at the top of his voice, as Drake was thinking, sniff. One tiny mistake and suddenly I'm the worst being to exist. Issei said, still sniffing with tears coming down his face. It's not your fault, Drake said, trying to calm his partner down. Then why does it feel like it is Drake? If I weren't such a pervert, things would have been different. Maybe I never would have been killed by that light spear. Maybe I would have awakened you earlier and been strong enough to save Asia, not use the Juggernaut Drive or anyone else. Issei said, wiping his tears away. Issei, it also made you the strongest Red Dragon Emperor, Drake said, trying to cheer his partner up. At what cost, Drake? My perversion damages your reputation and your psyche, for fuck's sake. I must be the worst to be able to do that to a dragon. Issei shouted in frustration. I appreciate your concern, but right now, you need to worry about yourself. Drake said he was grateful that his partner was sorry for his actions. I'm just so angry. I was being used this whole time. I was a puppet. Issei said with frustration. Issei, I doubt that. Drake said. How so? Issei asked with confusion. I do love you, Drake said. Why did they let me die? If she needed help, she could have asked me and explained it to me. I would have helped. Knowing you, partner, you would I believe you would have, Drake said, knowing how kind his partner was. All this is making me want to drink. Azazel thinks I don't know about his stash of booze in this house. Issei said as he got up and walked to a secret cabinet. Issei, please don't. It won't help. Drake said, hoping he would stop. Right now, anything might help to numb this pain. Issei said. As he opened up the compartment, he saw vodka, whiskey, scotch, and other alcohol. Luckily his parents weren't home. Just as he was about to pour himself a drink, he was stopped by Azazel. Issei, please don't. I can't bear to see you go down that round, Azazel said as he suddenly appeared just in time. He saw Issei as a son but never once imagined him doing something like this. The unstoppable Red Dragon Emperor is now wholly broken. Azazel? Issei said, shocked at the sudden appearance. Hey, kiddo, Azazel said before bringing Issei into a hug. Issei then suddenly cried into his shoulder. After some time, Issei stopped crying and sat in the corner of the room with Azazel sitting next to him. Do you want to talk about it? Azazel asked, knowing what caused this to happen. Do you already know what happened? Issei asked out of curiosity. I do, Azazel said with a sad look. I guess Rose Weiss told you the story? Issei asked. Yeah, she did. She is apprehensive about you, Azazel said with concern. I see. I can't believe Ravel saw what had happened, Issei said while looking down at his feet. That should be the least of your concern right now, kiddo, Azazel said, trying to help him. They let Asia and me die, and I nearly died several times willingly for them, Azazel. Am I such a fool? Issei asked with a down-spirited tone. Not at all. We were all fooled. We all thought that they were the kind-hearted people we knew, but today, their true colors were shown, Azazel said with a bit of anger mixed in. People, devils through and through, Issei said. Not all of them saw their mistakes and also saw that they didn't let you finish your confession. If you did confess, then, Azazel, I would have been in bliss. Despite not completely healing the emotional damage that Rainer caused, I was ready to move on. I gave my heart, body, and soul to her, everything I did, and she said that she would rather go back to Reiser. Issei said nonchalantly, women are trouble. I got caught by their allure and I fell, but you fell more than I did, Azazel said. I don't know what to do anymore. I lived and nearly died for the woman I fell in love with, and this is my penance. Nearly drinking alcohol and breaking apart at the very thought of her, Issei said with his hair covering his eyes while he looked down at his feet. Well, least I stopped you. You could have a hell of a hangover the next morning, Azazel said, laughing at the end. It'll be nothing compared to the light spears or merging a part of the dividing gear, Fenrir puncturing my entire body with his fangs, or the worst I've suffered yet. This heartache, Issei said with a stoic look. Well, in only a few months, you went from being a pervy high school kid to fighting strays, fallen monsters, other sacred gear users, and even Loki, all while becoming the strongest Red Dragon Emperor, Azazel said with pride. I only survived Loki because of Ravel giving me a phoenix tear, Issei said with a slight smirk. Yeah, she's a caring girl, Azazel said, appreciating Ravel's actions for Issei. So far, Ravel, Rose was, and you seem to care about me, Issei said while still doubtful. So does Asia, Irina, Gasper, and the others, Azazel said, not knowing what others truly felt. On the contrary to recent events, Issei said, it's late, Issei. Get some sleep. Hopefully you can sleep it off, Azazel said as he got off the floor to help Issei. Issei slowly got up and managed to walk to get an empty bedroom weakly, and he got on the bed. He passed out in mere seconds. Azazel left a note on the side table for him to see once he woke up. I hope the sleep will calm you down a bit. I'll come to check on you in the morning and we will think of a way to help you out. Maybe a break from the group or something, Azazel. Once Azazel left the bedroom, he placed a few powerful spells and runes on the door. Only he and a select few can enter the room, and if any unwanted people try to enter, he'll know when Issei leaves or anything, he'll understand. He is pissed that he was hurt this much in mere seconds. Issei's mindscape. As soon as Issei collapsed onto the bed, Drake brought him into his mindscape to comfort him in whatever way he could. He flew down and gave him a big hug. Issei, you know I am always here for you. Unlike my past hosts, you are the only one that treats me as a friend and not a tool, Drake said as he carried on hugging him. Thanks, Drake, you're one of my best friends. If I were a dragon, I wouldn't call my brother, Issei said as he replicated the hug. Now that would be interesting. So have you got a plan on how to beat Sarug, or have plans changed? Drake asked Issei. Nope. I still want to beat him, as I did promise him a good fight, so I was thinking maybe see if Azazel or Surzex be able to find somewhere for me to train without distractions, Issei said with a little bit of venom at the end. That'd be good. So what are you thinking, training in your other gear forms or? Drake asked. No. I'm going to focus on the base to strengthen the balance breaker. Plus, I am done being a pervert as it's been used against me so many times. Issei said with determination. What you done with my Issei? He never would give up his pervertedness, Dreg said while looking shocked. Very funny, Dreg. I am still going to be a pervert that never changes, but I am going to tone it down a bit, and also control it so no more pervert moves from me. Issei said while smiling after giggling a bit. Wow, this is a change. So if you are going to train on your base form, some of the past users might be able to help you out since you saved them, Dreg said with pride. That'd be awesome if they could help, but in the meantime, I feel sleepy, so I am going to get some sleep. Talk to you in the morning, Dreg, Issei said smiling and then closing his eyes to fall asleep. Night partner, Dreg said as he went to sleep as well. Meanwhile, the orc group. Rias and the other members of the orc were looking for Issei and checking each room to find him. They finally stumbled upon the room where Azazel put a barrier, and the group felt a blockage that prevented them from going to it. Guys, why is there a barrier in this room? Irina asked while looking puzzled at the others. That's one of the many spare bedrooms. Do you think Issei is in there? Asia asked, hoping he was. I'm cutting the door down. Stand back, shouted Zenobia. Zenobia, wait, shouted Ross was. Before she could stop, Zenobia had already summoned Durandal, who was above her and was ready to cut the barrier along the door. The instant she swung her blade, a hand grabbed her arms and stopped her mid-swing. Everyone looked towards the figure that stood tall, dark, and pissed off, and it was Azazel. Don't you fucking dare. None of you is to go near him, talk to him, or anything, shouted Azazel, showing he was serious. What the hell, Azazel? He's my pawn, and I do what I like as his king, Rhea said while holding her hips. Is that all he is to you? Not the man who risked everything, to save not just you but everyone else here as well. Do I have to remind you of what every one of you said to him except Ferriswaz, who tried to help him after what you all done, Azazel said, holding his ground. But that, everyone's face went to the ground in shame except for Rosway's. You didn't even let him finish confessing, and look where your stupidity got him. As of this moment onwards, I'll be looking after his well-being, since almost all of you would probably cause him to take his own life next, Azazel said with a severe look. What do you mean next? What did he do in the first place? Asked Irena, now worried. He was about to drink alcohol after smashing his hands against all the dummies on the floor, and was in such a depressed state, thanks to you all, some friends you are, Azazel said with a look of disappointment. Please let me see him, let me apologize, Asia asked while holding her hands together. Even if I did, there's no point. He completely blacked out after I helped him to his bed. He couldn't even hear you if you screamed at the top of your lungs. It broke my heart to see him like that, and I can't let you see him. It'll hurt you even more. Asia, Azazel looked down with sadness, then looked at Riaz. Riaz, did you say you regret turning him into a devil and returning to Raizen now that he's different? Azazel asked, hoping she didn't. I wish I didn't, Riaz said while holding back her tears. Azazel was stunned. She said that to Issei's face, the man who saved her again and again, saved them all, the others and themselves, gave his arm, used Juggernaut Drive, light spears, you name it, yet just a few sentences killed him inside. I can't believe you, Azazel said as he fell to his knees. Why? What could have possessed you to be so cruel to the man in love with you? Azazel asked while holding back his tears in shock. But that, Riaz began to whimper and tried her best not to cry cause of her mistake. As if this moment, none of you are to be near or contact or follow him. Roswas makes sure that they stay away. I have to inform Sir Cetus and Grafia about this, Azazel said while standing back up and looking at Roswas. No, please, shouted Riaz in fear of what would happen. Silence, you damned brat, shouted Azazel with his aura leaking out, showing how angry he was. This will impact everything in one of the worst ways possible for him. You let him get traumatized and killed by the hands of Raynor when you could have helped, and then you go and do this. Stay away for his sake and yours, because if he snaps again, he and the rest of you will be dead. I don't even want him to sense your presence. Got it? Azazel said as he raised his voice at the end. Everyone nodded out of fear. Then Azazel teleports to the underworld, but not before placing an even more powerful barrier on the room. Everyone go to your rooms, stay out of Issei's room, Razwa said, now in teacher mode. I'm the king, I should be giving the orders around here, Razwa's. Rias retaliated in anger. I take orders from a real king, not the person you are right now, Razwa said, holding her ground while in a standoff with Rias. But it shut her up and they all went to their rooms, but Gasper stayed outside the room. Due to Gasper, said Razwa's in a calm manner. Gasper stood there for a few more seconds looking at the barrier blocking the entrance, and then he went to one of the empty rooms. Rose was touched the barrier, and was surprised she could go through it. So Azazel allowed me to enter, good, least I can check up on Issei, Rose was said in a low voice like talking to herself. She went through the door, and inside she could smell the sweat. She walked over to him and was saddened at the sight. His knuckles had dried blood on them, and he was crying even in his sleep. She holds his hands and cast a healing spell to heal his hands. If only there were a spell to fix your heart, Issei. You were about to confess just as you both wanted. You don't deserve this, Razwa said with a sad look. She then left the room after healing his hands. She then headed to her room and was worried about Issei. She realized just how fragile his heart and mind were. She then managed to fall asleep but would wake up now and then to check on Issei. She would find the others one by one trying to get through the barrier and force them into their rooms. Chapter 2: The Consequences. Recap. If only there were a spell to fix your heart, Issei. You were about to confess just as you both wanted. You don't deserve this, Razwa said with such a sad look. She then left the room after healing his hands. She then headed to her room and was worried about Issei. She realized just how fragile his heart and mind were. She then fell asleep but would wake up now and then to check on Issei. She would find the others one by one trying to get through the barrier and force them to their rooms. Surzuk's office. Azazel teleported into Surzuk's office and caught him on his way out. Surzuk noticed the magic presence and turned around to see Azazel's face and the aura he was released, which meant something was wrong. What's wrong, Azazel? Surzuk asked in a severe tone. Let's talk in the office now, Azazel said with such a deep tone showing his anger, which Surzuk nodded and entered his office. So what happened? Surzuk asked again. Your sister fucked up, Azazel said, shouting at the end. What? Surzuk asked with a confused look. Issei was about to confess his feelings to her, but in her eyes he didn't do it right. She snapped at him, and so did everyone in the room except Razwa's and Ravel. She immediately yelled at him and said things that made me speechless for a minute, Azazel said, explaining the situation. Such as? Surzuk asked, now intrigued by what his sister said and beginning to fear the worst. She told him that she regrets turning him into a devil, Azazel says while cutting off at the end with a sigh. What? Shouted Surzuk, now realizing the situation. That's not even the worst part, Azazel said, releasing more aura. How could it get worse? Surzuk asked, but beginning to regret asking. Brace yourself, Azazel says while trying to calm himself. Oh no, Surzuk said, now holding on to the edge of his chair. The next morning, as Issei woke up, he had a slight headache from all that had happened, plus the sunlight hitting the room was not helping, especially since devils feel weaker in the sunlight. As he opened his eyes slightly and looked around, he saw a note on the table. As he read it, he got up and dressed and walked out the door, and he then saw a barrier. Did Azazel do this? Issei said to himself. He looked at the barrier and placed his hand on it, and it went right through. Looks like I can come and go as I please, but who else is allowed in? Issei asked himself with a hand on his chin. He walked down to the kitchen and drank at least 2 liters of water. He then looked at the time and saw that it was past 11 a.m. I miss school, Issei sighed at the end. He decided to make himself a cup of coffee since it was a little late for breakfast. He sat at the table contemplating his life. He stayed there for 2 hours thinking. Partner? Drake said. Oh hey Drake, how you doing? Issei asked. I'm fine. Are you doing any better? Drake asked out of worry. Issei was just silent. Issei? About what? She said. Drake said before getting cut off by Issei. No, Drake, I don't want to talk about it. Issei said, annoyed. But you need to partner, Drake said with concern. No, I don't. I'm done. Issei tried to say before starting to cry. He couldn't even finish his sentence without breaking down. The damage was more precise than before. Drake pulled Issei into his subconscious and hugged him, and he regretted bringing it up and tried to comfort him. Every host of Drake had died either in battle with the White Dragon Emperor or by using the Juggernaut drive just for fun, but this time he fears that Issei might die due to heartbreak. As time passed, Drake noticed and realized that Rias and the other would arrive any second. Issei, they'll be here soon. It's best to keep your distance from them, Drake said, advising Issei on what to do. Sniff. Yeah. Thanks, Drake. You've been a great help, Issei said while sniffing after crying. He then leaves the sacred gear and wakes up back in the real world. He just wishes that he didn't. He went to his room and locked the door. He could have gone back to the barricaded room, but his room was comfortable. Every other room is just so empty and feels foreign. He just stood there and looked around. The smell of their perfumes lingered. It made his heart ache. He started to clean to distract himself. He got fresh sheets. He couldn't stand the smell of their scent. He opened the window and used air freshener. He was cleaning anything he could and found his porn stash. He looked at it and decided to get rid of it, all of it. He packed the magazines and movies in separate bags, took down the posters and figurines from sight, packed it all, and put ads for them online. Within minutes he got bids and sold them to the highest bidder. He made an excellent 750,000 yen. After it was all said and done, he heard his doorknob turn. He looked at the door and could feel their presence. He pushed a chair against the door and barricaded it. He then heard someone knock on his door. Hey Issei, you in there? Kaneko asked. Issei didn't respond to her. Issei, please talk to us. Asia said, Big brother, we're sorry for what we said. Gasper said with a sad voice. Yet again, no answer. He just sat there. Eyes, you heard Azazel. Leave Issei alone. You've heard him too much already. Razwa said with a concerned tone. Issei was glad that already someone was looking out for him. They all left, but Razwa stayed. You okay there, Issei? Razwa asked, still worried about him. Yeah. Thanks. Another few seconds, and I might have said something to them that I would regret later, Issei said as he leaned against the wall. Razwa smiled. At least he talks to me, she thought. Anytime. Are you hungry? She asked. No, but thanks. I already had, Issei said as a white lie to make her not worry about him. Alright, I'll be in the room next to yours. If you want to talk, then let me know, Razwa said, hoping he would talk to her so she could comfort him. Sure, thanks. Sensei. Issei said as he wanted to tell her name but couldn't. She left and entered the adjacent room. Issei grabbed the bags and flew out of the window. He met up with the buyers and sold his stuff. He got paid and he stashed the cash in a safe spot, but then again, that cash has jump change compared to the money he made from the Grabbing Dragon show. As night fell upon the HYDU household, a red teleportation circle appeared in front of Issei in his room. From it jumped out Circetus and Graphia, who decided to give him a death hug, squeezing him tightly. Circetus? Lady Graphia? Asked Issei, confused. What's happening? Sniff. Issei. I'm so sorry. Graphia said while tears went down her cheeks. We both are. Circetus said, adding to what Graphia said. Issei was perplexed. He's never seen Graphia without a stoic expression other than a slight smirk that would appear when she's proud of her friends and family. Right now, he sees not just her with an unmistakable sad expression, but Circex has the same sad look. Issei was stunned and silent. What are you two apologizing for? He asked as they let go of him. You know very well why. It's because of her that you're in this situation. As her elder, I apologize on her behalf. Circetus said in a sad tone. It's not your fault, so why apologize? Again Issei asked, now confused. It's because we asked you to save her months ago, we asked you to risk your life, and it's because of us that you're hurting Issei. Graphia said, still with tears going down her cheeks. That wouldn't have made a difference. I would have saved her either way and fought Riser. Issei said as both Cercichus and Graphia looked into his eyes and saw how devoid of any life or emotion. Just a cold and empty gaze. Issei, what did she do to you? Asked Cercichus now with a worried look. Let me die. Let Asia die, and ripped my heart into pieces just because I didn't say I love you the right way apparently, and said she regrets turning me into her pawn and that Riser is now a worthy candidate for her love. Issei said nonchalantly with no emotion. Both Cercichus and Graphia gasped, and their eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. She didn't, said Graphia while still in shock. Ask Rosways and Ravel. They saw and heard the whole thing. Issei said. Issei, please tell me how we can make it up to you, anything at all. Cercichus says, hoping he can fix this mess. Anything? Issei asked while tilting his head. Just name it, Graphia said in hope. Then please make me a free devil, Issei asked after considering his options, which left them stunned by his request. I'm guessing you're surprised by my request. Well, I can't blame you. You know what? Let's just forget about it, Issei said looking down at his feet. Issei, you're making us worry about you, Graphia said hoping to help him. Sorry. I don't mean to, Issei said still looking down to the floor. We know, Issei, you need to talk to us about it, Cercex said hoping he could shed more light on what's happening. Azazel told you everything, right? As did I. I don't know what else to talk about, Issei said while gripping his wrists. We can talk about how you feel, Graphia said. How do I feel? I feel numb and I feel apathy, Issei said. You've pushed your emotions deep down, don't bottle them up, Graphia says with a worried look. I didn't, and I just went numb, Issei explained. As Issei said that, Cercex noticed that the dirty posters were gone, and his magazine and dirty movies on his shelves were gone too. Issei, did you do some cleaning? Cercichus asked while trying to work out where it had gone. Oh, that, many collectors wanted all that stuff, so I sold it. I think it's time that I outgrew my lust, Issei says with no emotion. This made both of them shocked once again. Issei, this isn't you, Graphia says, now knowing how bad this looks. The old me should never have been who I was before. The old me was a damn fool for ever loving them, Issei says with a hint of anger in his tone. Issei, was all that Cercichus could say. Because of that, I'm done loving your sister or her peerage. I only trust Rosweiss, Ravel, you two, and Azazel. You're the only ones who care, and that's why I'll continue to help you when you need me. Oh, wait, there's also Sarag and Saji. I can't believe I forgot to mention them as well. We're happy that you don't hate us, Cercex says with a little bit of a smile. I have no reason to hate you about the grabbing dragon show. Can you use a stunt double when my character has to interact with Rias? I know I sound like a diva, but as you already know, our chemistry isn't the same as it used to be. If she and I came face to face, then I might say something I'll regret, or not, Issei says as he explains. You're still angry at her, aren't you? Cercex asks out of concern. Livid, Issei says nonchalantly. Issei, I beg you for your forgiveness, pleaded Cercichus. You shouldn't apologize for her actions or theirs. I'm done caring for them except for Rosways and Ravel, said Issei. What about Irina and Asia? Asked Graphia out of curiosity. Some friends they are. Too late for apologies now. I don't care if they tried to make things right. There's no way to undo the damage, and I used my spell to figure out what I did wrong. Issei, would you please try to look past it? I'll make you a free devil if you want. Cercex has pleaded yet again. Let me ask you, if you were in my position, told by the one you're in love with that they wish they never met you, that they let you die when they could have done something to save you or even warn you, they would rather see you dead and replaced by the one you risked your life to fight to save her from a forced marriage with. Would you ever be able to move on from that? Love or even care for them in the slightest after seeing all you endured going down the drain? Issei says, questioning them and finally showing his emotions and seeing it was painful as he cried like that. Issei, I'll personally make you a free devil because you're right. If you're around Rias when you harbor such feelings after what she said and still choosing to fight by our side. This is the least I can do for you. Surzisha says, finding the harsh reality Issei is in. Please do. I don't want to run away and be marked as a stray. I don't want to die and hurt you guys or my parents like that. Issei pleaded while tears went down his face. You're still thinking about others even when you're in pain. You're still the same Issei we know. Please bring that to the surface. I'll try only because you asked me to, as I see you as an older sister, Issei said while in the embrace of Graphia. Are you ready to become a free devil? Circes asked as he prepared to do the magic circle. Yes, Issei said as he came out of Graphia's embrace and walked towards Circes. But that Circes creates the magic circle below Issei, emitting a bright red light. Outside Issei's room, Rias saw the red light coming from underneath the door. What the Issei? Rias talks to herself as she presses her ear against the door to eavesdrop on the conversation. Issei, hi Edu, you can be free if you don't cause conflict. During times of crisis, if ordered to help by the Devil Kings, you must obey. These are the two fundamental rules. Use your freedom wisely, and you're also allowed to use promotions. You are now a free devil. Circeus says that as he finishes the chant, the glow starts to go down. Rias couldn't believe her ears. Issei was no longer her pawn and her brother did that. No! Screamed Rias as she burst through the door with enough force to break it down. But what she saw right before her was Serges emitting a blood-red aura and Graphia radiating a white freezing aura. Here he is, Gremory, step outside now. Circeus shouted at the end. Both Circeus and Graphia's auras alerted everyone to come over, and as they did they were greeted by the fearsome sight. Glad all of you could join us. We've got a bone to pick with you, Graphia said with a harsh and scary tone which caused everyone to pay a handshake except for Razways. As of this moment onwards, Issei is a free devil, Circeus says in a commanding tone. As everyone gasped, Rias decided to outburst against it. But he's my pawn, and I need him, Rias shouted with anger. Silence! Shouted Circeus in such a command, emitting a strong aura that caused Rias to flinch at his outburst like the same as Azazel had. Rias Gremory, we know what you did. What you all did. All but one of you are now ordered to stay away from Issei, Graphia says with anger. Even me? Questioned Irina. Damn straight. I'm disappointed in all of you, and I'm starting to think that Drosus should be promoted to a king, as none of you are as you should be. Kiba, Zenobia, Kaneko, Aquino, Asia, Gasper, Irina, and Rias, I'm deeply disappointed, angry, and hurt by your actions. We treat each other like family, so tell me why this happened. Why did you all say such things? Circeus asked them. They said nothing and just stood there trembling. This is the sight of him and Graphia that they rarely see, but when they do, they need a miracle to survive. But as luck would have it, a miracle happened. Eyes, please stop. Ripping them a new one would be satisfying but not worth it, Issei says to defuse the matter, which causes Circeus and Graphia to look at him in surprise. Are you defending them? Circeus asked, confused but shocked. Not in the least. I'm just sick of the drama and I don't need to be reminded of what happened at the Orc. Very well. We'll see you tomorrow, Issei, Circeus says as both he and Graphia teleported back to the underworld after that. Gasper spoke up. Big brother? Gasper tried to ask something. Not you, big brother, anymore. You made that very clear, Issei said harshly, hurting Gasper deeply. Bro, no need to take your anger out on him, Kiba says, trying to calm Issei down. Shut up, Kiba. Do you want to be on the receiving end instead? Issei says as he shoots a killing intent aura at him. Everyone sees this is no longer the Issei they knew. Everyone just leaves. I have a door to fix, Issei says in a non-caring manner. Asia looks at him, and then notices a porn-free room. Issei, did we hurt you to the point where you are showing this much hatred? Asia asks, worrying. The obvious much? Issei replied sarcastically. Kaneko then notices that the room no longer has any porn on display like it usually does. Your room. It's Kaneko trying to say something. Yeah. I got rid of the porn, made good money. Happy now? Again Issei replied nonchalantly. Issei, we're sorry. Please forgive us. Rias pleads to Issei. But that, Issei threw a drinking glass at the wall with enough force to shatter the glass and create a few cracks in the wall. Shouldn't you be out seeing Riser or something? You said that he's better then, so why are you here? Issei sharply questions Rias in anger. That was cold-hearted, Issei. Rias says, now shocked at his words. Are you surprised that I am? Let me enjoy my freedom, and I feel like a chain collar was removed and can move around. Issei says while stretching his arms, which leaves Ria speechless. Can we at least? Asia was speaking and stepping forward before getting cut off. Freeze, shouted Issei, which caused Asia to back away. There are shards of glass on the floor, be careful. Oh right. Thanks. Asia says, seeing he still cares a little bit. Just be careful. Everyone leave, please. I need to clean up. Issei says as he calms down. But big brother, we need to talk to you. Gasper pleaded to Issei. I'm not your brother. Shouted Issei, getting annoyed, which caused Gasper to hide behind Zenobia. Not anymore, you made that very clear. All of you did save for Rosways and Ravel. I have training after school. Wait, you're going to fight with us? Zenobia questioned while tilting her head. Only to fulfill my promise to Sarag. You can get new pawns now, Rias. Your mistake is now a free devil. Look for pawns that can help after the raiding game, Issei said nonchalantly. You finally said my name? Ria said while holding her hand to her mouth with tears going down her face. That action causes Roswas to fast up a man. Issei's eye to start twitching. Right now, I want to say so much more and it's not what you want to hear. I need to rest after this. You guys have completely drained me. Issei said while sighing. Alright guys, enough, we have classes tomorrow, so bed now. Roswa says in her teacher mode. I swear she's more like a mother day by day, Issei thought while he began to clean his room after everyone left. He then calls a carpenter to fix the door tomorrow evening. He went to the kitchen and made something to eat as he had to keep his strength up to train and get ready for the fight. He then lay in bed and listened to some music for a while to calm himself. As he listened to some calming music, he finally fell asleep. During the night, Aquino came in since there was no door and just sat on the floor while leaning on his bedside. She looked at his face and saw that he had been crying himself to sleep. She could hear the songs being played due to the dead silence of the night and started to cry herself to sleep on the cold floor. The next morning, as Issei woke up earlier than usual and got out of bed, he noticed Akeno sleeping on the cold, uncomfortable floor. He sighed, then gently picked her up and placed her on his bed. He got ready for school, went downstairs to the kitchen and made coffee. As he sat there savoring every bitter drop, taking in the rich aroma, it was interrupted by Asia walking in. Oh, good morning, Issei, Asia said, hoping for a response. Morning, Issei said with no emotion. I'm about to make some French toast. Do you want some? Asia asked. No thanks, Issei said as he did not even make eye contact. He then finishes his coffee and washes the mug, puts it in its rightful place, grabs his bag, and goes out the door. As he walked to school, Dreg spoke up. Never thought you would say no to her French toast partner, Dreg said in surprise. I'm not hungry, Issei said, still lacking emotion to it. Congratulations on being a free devil, Dreg said to try and cheer his partner up. Thanks. It feels good, Issei replied with a little bit of a smile. I'm proud of you, Issei. You controlled your anger last night and still plan to uphold your promise to Sarg. But what about them during the match? Dreg says with a question at the end. I'll protect them physically during the match, but they should learn to defend themselves. They should have figured that out since they know I won't willingly do it anymore. Issei says nonchalantly. I think the raiding game is the least of their concern. I could tell that they all regret being so cruel. Dreg says, too late for regrets, so the match begins soon. We need to train. Do you think the Rook promotion armor would do the job? Issei asks while thinking. Possibly if we tried hard enough, or if you ask Azazel or Surzex for a place to train, we could do a lot more, Dreg says while thinking of possibilities. I'll request a leave of absence from Sona, then we'll train day and night if we have to, and this time no power-up from some stupid pair of tits. Issei says with determination. Greg was speechless. Greg, what's wrong? Is Volume 1 here or something? Issei asks with concern and looks around. Who are you and what have you done with my partner? Drake shouts in a shocking manner. The fuck, Drake, what's gotten into you? Issei asks while holding his head from the shouting. You just called the Gremory girls' tits stupid. The Issei I know would never call breasts stupid. Who are you? Am I in a genjutsu? Drake says, still in shock from Issei's response. You see him pacing around in circles within the gear, making Issei's eye twitch. Drake, this is the new me. I sold all my porn and made good cash and made a huge profit. Maybe I should become a businessman. My lust got me in this mess, so yeah, I'm done with tits, porn, and things of the like. I just feel empty inside. Issei said while explaining himself. This feels so unnatural, Drake said with wide eyes. I would agree if I felt anything right now, Issei said while pondering. But that, Issei reached the school before Rias or the others. He encountered the two pervs reading a magazine. He completely ignored them and went to class, and the two pervs didn't even notice him walk right by. Some of the other students saw that he came early and alone. They started asking questions about why the girls weren't with him. Murayama and Caddis ran up to him. Hey Heidu, where are Rias and the others? Caddis asked out of curiosity. Don't know, don't care, now move. I got to get to class and I don't want to deal with the bullshit first thing in the morning. Issei said with no emotion when he spoke, which scared both of them when they saw his eyes depleted of life. What did you do to them? Murayama asked worriedly. Nothing, in a piece of advice, stay out of it. Now get out of my way, Issei said as he raised his voice at the end. Both girls saw his eye flash green for a split second. They stood aside and watched him walk to class. Was that Heidu? Murayama asked, really worried. That look in his eye, were they even human? I'm scared, Kata said, also worried. Both girls started telling all the girls that Heidu wasn't acting like the perv he usually does. The orc wasn't with him when he arrived and didn't look at any girls other than straight into their eyes with a gaze that scared them. After a while, Rias and the other came. They were looking for Issei. They went to the clue room and didn't find him. They checked the roof and cafeteria, not even in the usual peeping spots or girls' locker room, but instead, he was reading a book in class. Once they found him and tried to approach him, the bell rang, and the teacher entered. The teacher was Roswas herself and told them to take their seats in their classes. Asia, Irina, Zenobia, and Issei had the same class, and the whole time they kept their eyes locked on him. Everyone noticed their actions and how Issei straight up ignored them. He'd either look at the board, his books, or out of the window. Asia and Zenobia tried to talk to him during the break, but he ignored them each time. He ignored everyone, including the pervs, for as long as he could, until they asked him to peep on the girls for the 10th time, and asked if he could convince them to let them grope their bodies. He snapped. You sons of bitches. I don't care about looking at girls' bodies anymore. Forget ass, tits, or whatever you're both into. I'm done with girls, love, or anything related to both. Peep on them and get kendo swords up your asses. If you want to feel a woman's touch, go ahead and do it, but I won't visit you assholes in jail, Issei says as he shouts at the end with anger. His yelling was heard by every guy and girl nearby. The two pervs fainted, some gasped, some choked on their spit, or some just looked at him with wide eyes, especially the girls. A perverted girl in Issei's class, Aika couldn't believe what she was hearing. Hey Issei, did I hear you correctly? Asked Aika, shocked at what she heard. I just said loud and clear enough for half the school to hear. Clear the dry comb out of your ears. You're going deaf, Issei said nonchalantly. This left Aika dumbfounded. Some of the students around them tried their absolute hardest to control their laughter. The ones who couldn't hold it and ran far and burst out laughing. Damn Issei, that hurt, Aika said while looking down. Issei took a deep breath to calm himself. Yeah. I'm sorry, I haven't been myself. I'll say you've never been so savage. What the hell happened to you? Ika said while worried about Issei. Just getting my feelings manipulated and getting my heart ripped to pieces by whom I fell in love with and others for whom I gave my life, Issei said as going into his world. Wait, what? Aika asked, confused. Forget it, It'll only raise more questions. Fee, in case Rias asks anyone here to join her club, don't. You'll regret it big time, cause I fucking do. Issei said while ranting. Just what did they do? Aika asked, even more concerned now. Pray that you never find out, Issei said as he sighed. Chapter 3. It's all about the choices. As Issei was apologizing to Aika, both Murayama and Caddis approached him to ask him a question. Hey, no, do you not care about these two pervs? Asked Caddis while tilting her head. Did you stop being a perv yourself? Asked Murayama, also tilting her head, trying to work it out. No way, these two were friends. They always used to leave me behind to take a beating in their stead a fair few times. Fuck being a perv. I'm done with it, and ladies have fun beating them up. If you ever need help, let me know. And by the way, I sold all my pervy stuff, and now planning what to invest in. Might consider doing clay art of different things, just need to find some inspiration, said Issei as he explained to both Murayama and Caddis. After Issei said that, he heard everyone whispering, but he didn't care. He just wanted to leave to chill out somewhere in peace. Again, I want to say I'm sorry for that comment I made, Aika, and I also want to say sorry to you, Murayama, and Caddis for what I did in the past. I would like to make it up to you all if possible, Issei said while bowing his head down to them. While all three girls were looking at each other, they thought of something. How about lunch together? Then maybe we can hang out somewhere else, Ayuka said while both other girls nodded their heads in agreement. Okay, how about tomorrow? Asked Issei in the hope they agree. Deal, all three girls said with smiles on their faces. But that, he left to get a drink and look for Azazel to ask about some items that could increase the weight that he could use for training after finding him, and Azazel agreed with him with his usual smirk, handing him some that do the job. After his discussion, he found Rose was to get permission to leave school. After that, he left and decided to take a different route from what he usually goes. He found himself in a unique marketplace that had all sorts, from knife collections to other various items. This is where he got hold of some clay and art tools to be able to craft with, and found some books about myths or legends that he had to buy. After that, he went home and called a carpenter to fix his door. The carpenter showed up with a new door and set it, which Issei paid the man from the cash he made from selling his porn collection. If someone finds these boxes under the bed thinking they're porn, they will be in for a shock. Thinking about shock faces. Right time to do some training and test these weights that Azazel gave me. What do you think, Drake? Yeah, I'm sure they will help lots, not only in strength but stamina as well, even agility if done correctly, as Drake explains his agreement. Issei made his way down to the basement to start his training, but the weights on his limbs began working out in his base form, which would make his balance breaker and the promotion stronger. With the help of a gadget from Azazel, he could do months of training a day and night. With that, he gained some muscle and learned to be able to fly with his devil wings, but preferred his dragon's wings from the balance breaker. Eventually, the others came down and tried to join them but paid no heed. Still, Kiba had enough and stood before him with his sword drawn. Issei noticed and looked at Kiba and saw in his eyes that he wouldn't back down, so he summoned Ascalon and promoted tonight and got into position. Ready? Asked Kiba with himself in a stance. Shut up and fight, Issei said, looking at Kiba for an advantage point. But that, Issei charged at Kiba at speeds that surprised him. He barely dodged Issei's attacks and sees the tip of Ascalon swing just a few centimeters from his eyes and continues to attack him while aiming for his vital spots. He isn't training and he's trying to kill me, thought Kiba as he concentrated on blocking. All Kiba could do was dodge and block his attacks. He couldn't even find an opening to counter-strike Issei, as he wasn't giving him an opening. His speed and the force of the strikes increased considerably. Kiba was trying hard to maneuver himself, seeing multiple after images of the blade come towards him. He couldn't tell which one was real and lost his balance during the confusion. As he fell, he could only see Issei with his fist cocked back and saw it coming in fast. Kiba put his sword up to defend and hopefully block the attack, but when Issei punched it, the force sent Kiba backward and stumbled on the floor. His sword flew out of his hands, pierced the ground right next to his head, and broke in half 3 seconds later. Were you even trying? questioned Issei while tilting his head to the side. Just how did you get so fast and strong so quickly? Asked Kiba while looking up at Issei. The SK as Issei clicked his tongue. He then took off his shirt and removed the weights from his limbs and torso and dropped them on the ground, making a crack on all 4 impact spots. That's how, old school, said Issei while stretching his muscles. Hold on, and you were that fast and strong because of those weights? Asked Zenobia while having floating question marks above her head. I was slow and weak because of those weights. Imagine if I didn't wear those, said Issei, knowing, having a drink of water. Shit, Kiba said while having wide eyes. But the cherry on top, if I also boosted my power, Issei said while grinning. When he said that, they looked at him and saw his body. Lifting those weights and using them to increase his strength and speed yielded incredible results. Kaneko saw it and blushed, seeing his body toned up in the right places and showing his 6-pack. Wow, Issei. You look hot, Ria said while blushing at the sight she saw. Issei just put his shirt back on, much to the ladies' dismay in the room, including Rosways and Ravel, as they were just in awe. Well, I'm done for the day, so I'm going to take a shower, said Issei as he walked out. Do you want us to join you? Says Akino while she teases. Oh, bath in your bathrooms, said Issei as he walked out. With that, Rias fell to her knees. You okay, Rias? Asked Irina out of worry. No, not in the least. I've hurt him so much because I didn't let him finish, Rias said as she started to cry. Do you still not get it, Rias? You told him right to his face that you regret turning him, should have let Rain or kill him again, and then struck the final nail in the coffin when you told him that your ex-fiancé, who was self-centered, arrogant fried chicken by the way, is better than him. Issei is the one person who saved you from an abusive marriage, gave his arm for that, fought stray priests, took light spears and used the juggernaut drive for Asia and reduced his lifespan to at least 100 years if he's lucky, compared to the usual 10,000 years of a devil. He also saved Kiba from getting consumed by revenge, gave Zenobia a broader outlook on life, and made her more acceptable to those around her regardless of their race. Averted war by fighting Kakabeel, who was a cadre-level fallen witch whom none of you stood a chance against, stopped Vali from killing you all right after the peace meeting, nearly died by fighting Fenrir and Loki. He literally used his body as a shield for you. If it wasn't for the Phoenix Tear that Ravel gave him, then he would be dead also out of all of us who was worthy of wielding Mjolnir, said Roswas as she exploded, listing all that Issei had done. This left the whole group quiet as they knew she was right. Only he was worthy. He accepted Akino as a fallen and helped her accept herself, helped Gasper become braver, and live to fight for you and others he cares for. He helped Kaneko with her Nekishu heritage and taught both her and Asia to swim. They gave Asia a home, no less, and loving parents who treat you like family, including me. Hell, just being around him made me feel confident. He achieved a balance breaker to protect you and Kaneko, Irina. How could an angel like yourself not see the unbelievably kind and beautiful soul he is? Did the fact of him being a devil completely overshadow something so obvious? Just note that he never chose this lift, or to have a sacred gear that painted a target on his back. He accepted it because he didn't have a choice and made the best of it for himself and others too. He saw and loved you all for who you were, so tell me, why couldn't you all love him as he was? Asked Roswas again, looking at them. Again no one could reply as they were too busy crying their eyes out, realizing their mistakes. The old Issei is still in there somewhere, and he did stop Circetus and Griefia from ripping you all a new one, but don't think that any of you can help him, says Rosways as a bit of a warning. What does that mean? We heard him, so it's only right that we fix it, said Asia, hoping some way she commended. Put yourself in his place. How would you all feel if someone in love put you through what he experienced and heard what you told him? Explained Rosways. He's in love with us still, said Ria, is thinking about small detail again, which causes Roswas to foscap him and then snap at her. Are you serious right now? And I thought he was dense, but I was wrong. He is just cautious, while all you girls are dense as a black hole with an IQ as negative as the temperature of the coldest ice spell. I swear to Auden that if you only waited for him to finish his confession, then none of this would be happening. shouted. Rosways finally said what she was feeling. She tried to be calm and rational, but it wasn't enough. She started to cry after listing everything Issei did for everyone without asking for anything in return, other than maybe a little love and support, which should honestly be a given for his efforts and sacrifices. With that, she left to look for Issei with Ravel in tow, and everyone else just collapsed into tears. Once Rosways and Ravel exit the training area, they closed the door behind them, wiped their tears and see Issei standing there. "I thought you said you would take a bath?" asked Rosways, shocked but wondering if he heard what she said. "I was, but I needed a minute to calm myself as I nearly took Kiba's head off," Issei said as he calmed himself and looked at the two girls. "What's wrong?" asked Ravel with concern while Rosways nodded with agreement. "A lot," said Issei while a sigh at the end. "Yeah." Rosways spoke. "Hey, by the way, thanks," said Issei while looking at Rosways. "For what?" asked Rosways while tilting her head. "For everything. I owe you and Ravel big time for supporting me through this time, and you told them what I was feeling," Issei said with a warm, inviting smile. "I just wanted to remind them. You would have felt guilty for having to remind them yourself, cause if you did then it would like you did all that just so that they would owe you. Am I correct?" explained Ross was doing her teacher mode. "You're the same age as us yet a lot wiser than everyone around you." "I respect you so much," said Issei while smiling. "Why thank you?" Rosways replied while blushing. "I'm going to grab something to drink." "Wanna join me, you two?" asked Issei. "Sure, I'm in. I could do with one yufufu," Rosways said while giggling at the end. "I would love to, but I got to go see my mother about something important, so that I will see you tomorrow, Issei," said Ravel as she hugged Issei goodbye. "Okay, no worries. Ravel, say hi to her for me," Issei said as he smiled and waved her off as she disappeared through the magic circle. As Issei and Rosways head to the roof and enjoy some drinks together under the moonlight, he lit a small bonfire and enjoyed the relaxing atmosphere as it was so calm and peaceful, unlike what happened in the training area moments ago. He admired Rosways with her hair shimmering in the moonlight, and he noticed Azazel approaching with his 12 wings out as he flapped down to land. "Having a drink without me?" Azazel says as he does a fake pout. "The party doesn't start until you walk in," Issei said as he laughed with Rosways. Issei then opened a bottle of sake and poured it into Azazel and Rosways' glasses as he made himself a non-alcoholic drink. "Thanks, kiddo, you both look a bit better than before," Azazel says as he smiles at what he sees. "You should have seen it." Rosways went full teacher mode and ripped them a new one. Her response was savage, Issei says as he smiles and shoulder nudges Rosways, causing her to blush. "Oh? Like what?" questioned Azazel while sipping on his drink. "Like how they are dense as black holes with IQ as negative as the coldest ice spell," Issei replied with a smirk that made Roswa's cheeks redder than Issei's armor. He heard Azazel spit his drink at the fire, igniting it with the alcohol and turning the flames blue. "Cough, cough, cough, cough," Azazel just burst out laughing, making him cough at the same time. "Eyes, come on, it's not that funny." "PFT," Rosways replied, then erupted into laughter. "I know they deserve it, but I still feel bad that they are in such a state right now," Issei says as he calms down from his laughter. "You're conflicted, aren't you?" asked Azazel while he looked at Issei. "Understatement of the year. As much as I hate them for what they did and say to me, a part of me still cares," Issei explained as he took another sip of his drink. "How come?" "I thought that you completely stopped loving them," asked Rosways, wondering if he loves her as well. "It's complicated. I've seen them at their worst and best. How Rias comforted me when I was worried, her kindness, consideration, love, and kiss. I had a crush on her, and I fell in love with her. The day I finally beat Riser and got her out of the marriage, she and I rode on the back of a griffin, which was awesome. It was also the first time she kissed me. I unlocked my balance breaker with her help. Just wish I did it a better way," Issei explains while he blushed at the end. "Well, to be honest, I did tell you to do that. Sorry," Azazel said as he rubbed the back of his head, which made Rosways punch him in the arm for suggesting such a thing. "It's fine. After the recent show, Ria's mother showed up and asked me to protect her, not as a pawn, but as her lover. She and her husband already consider me their son, and Sursages and Graphia see me as their future brother-in-law. But after what happened, I don't want to hurt them like that, and I still remember when I made that clay sculpture of Rias," explained Issei as he looked at the stars. "But there's more, isn't there?" asked Roswas as Issei returned to look at them again. "Too much, honestly. I helped Akeno accept herself, and I accepted her in a heartbeat the way she would help me when I needed it, like with classes, magic, etc. Her pot roast is the best, and I remember our first date and how Rias, Zenobia, Asia, Gasper, and Kaneko followed us. We managed to get away and accidentally made it to the Love Hotel Zone where we encountered her father and Odin," Issei said while enjoying the old times. "I remember him ditching me and going to a strip club, that stupid old fart," Roswi says as she pouts. Azazel just burst out laughing at that comment. "Hey, so Odin left after we talked, then Aikino and Borikio got into an argument, and after she told him that she didn't want to see him, he left, and she was distraught. So much so that she tried to force herself on me as a distraction," Issei says as he giggled at the beginning. "But you didn't do it, right?" Azazel questioned. "Of course not. I won't take advantage of her like that. A few days ago, I woke up one morning and found her sleeping on the floor in my room, so I picked her up and put her on my bed," Issei said with pride. "Speaking of not taking advantage, just who was that guy you beat up? You know the one who took Asia, I think?" Rose was asked. "It was a dick called Diodora Astaroth, a complete asshole that targeted holy nuns like Asia, tricks the churches into excommunicating them, then took them as his playthings. Just thinking about how he took Asia made my blood boil," Issei explained. "Then Shalba showed up, didn't he?" questioned Azazel. "Yeah, just when all of us saved Asia, Shalba sent her into the dimensional gap. I thought she was dead, and in my unstable state, I entered the Juggernaut Drive. It was incomplete, and I lost my life force, as you both already know," Issei explained, taking another sip of his drink. "I heard that Volume 1 had to use his Juggernaut Drive to reduce your power to help bring you back," Razwa said. "It was also him, Baiku, and Arthur who just happened to be in the dimensional gap. They saved Asia, and after Volume 1 divided my power, Rias called out to me. I could hear her voice bringing me back to reality," Issei says while he looks at the fire. "What was it like to use Juggernaut Drive, by the way?" asks Azazel in his investigation mode. "I don't remember it because I only saw Rainer appear again and again, whispering in my ear, making me feel exactly like I did the time Asia died after she removed her sacred gear. I constantly telling me that I failed to protect her, and she was right. I thought Asia was dead for real this time. Rainer was the first girl I fell for, but she killed me after our first date. I can't believe I fell for her on our first date. Fuck," Issei says while looking down. "I'm glad she's dead. She sealed her fate after going against my orders," Azazel says as he pats Issei's back. "Is she the one that Rias knew about?" asked Rosways while looking at Issei with sadness. "I was honestly scared of women, but I got over it, and I opened my heart to all the other girls in my former team," Issei said as he explained his feeling. "Because you wanted a harem?" asked Azazel with a smirk. "Something like that. The reason I let them all in is that I thought they all loved me, and who am I to break their hearts? All I ever wanted in life was love and support, and the harem thing was just a cover-up. I would be labeled a wimp and a pussy for saying I want love when you guys around my age usually want sex, but I was always different. Fuck being the harem king. Such a stupid goal," Issei says while looking at the floor again. "What is happening?" Drake thought. Azazel and Rosways had their eyes widen at the comment Issei said. "The day we all started living together, my parents were proud of me for once. They always wanted a daughter or two, so imagine their surprise when all the orc girls came into their lives. For once I had friends. Correction, a family that I could trust entirely. But after being chewed out for something that wasn't even my fault." "What do you mean?" asked Roswas. "I was just a pervert my whole life up to this point. Maybe this is karma for the things I've done. I wasn't exactly a saint," Issei says as he laughs at the end. "You've done so many amazing things and saved many lives. Karma has no power here, and what they did was their mistake, not yours. Azazel explains to Issei as he comforts him. They should also have known that confessing one's feelings takes time. It can't be rushed. Razwa says in her teacher mode as she sat up straight when she said it. I was ready to confess my feelings to her. She helped me become more assertive. They helped save Asia and gave her a new life. I couldn't believe it when she said she loved me and wanted us to be together forever. But? Asked Razwa. After what happened at the club room, I could tell from the look in their eyes that they hated me as if I was trash, and it only gets worse, Issei explains. How is that possible? Asked Azazel, wondering how worse it could get. It's possible because I'm still in love with them. They saw me as their future husband and I couldn't reject such love and live with myself by breaking their hearts. I don't know if I overreacted in the club room or jumped at the chance when Serzex offered me to become a free devil. What will Serg think of us? What will everyone think when they eventually find out why I'm no longer her pawn? How much will this hurt not just her reputation but the entire Gremory household? I feel like a coward for not confessing sooner and properly. Issei says what's on his mind. Both Azazel and Razwa were speechless. Tell me, who else was a part of Ria's plan to add Asia and me into her peerage? Asked Issei. Both Razwa and Azazel looked at each other. Issei saw them having a look of refusal on their faces. They know, but they don't want to tell. Eyes don't hide it. You know it then. Just tell me, please, asked Issei with a pleading look. Issei. It'll only hurt more, said Azazel, hoping he didn't ask any further. It's better than not knowing who my true murderers are, shouted Issei with anger. Azazel was stunned. You have the right to know, but you should know this first. Asia tore Ria's a new one. It was satisfying, Reza says to hop to calm Issei down a bit. Nice, Issei said as he giggled a bit. The other who knew about it are Akino, Kiba and Kaneko. They were just following her orders, but that's no excuse, Reza says. Issei was shocked and couldn't believe it. I'm sorry, Issei. We were just as shocked as you, but I know they truly regret their actions. Azazel explains to Issei. Issei tried his best to hold back the tears as his thoughts lay bare. The betrayal was eating away at him so much. Kiba and Gasper used to see me as their brother and they like mine, but after what I said to them about no longer being their brother, nearly taking Kiba's head off, Zenobia and Irina wanted to have a family with me, and Akino and Ria certainly seduced me, thus, my attachment turned into a love for them. But certainly not vice versa, it seems. My damn lewd nature, Kaneko, was starting to like me, but I didn't know how I would accept her feelings. I can't blame Asia. She and I were put on the same sinking boat, it would seem. But I'm still so angry when I know I shouldn't be. I'm conflicted about if I have the right to love them. Should I be in love with them? Being told by the first woman that I truly fell in love with willingly, saying that I should have been killed twice and that the guy she never wanted to even think about was becoming a better option, really made me question my love for them, to put it mildly. I realized that day I was only revived because of the boosted gear, and it wasn't because she cared at first, but because she needed the power to free herself. Despite knowing that I was nothing but a means to an end, I still would have helped, cause I can't stand seeing people in such positions even if I hate them. Asia was used the same way, and we're back in the same sunken boat. But she said so herself. She's happy with all of us. She didn't lie. Can she even lie? I never heard her even try to. Shit. I took my anger out on her for something that wasn't her fault, and now I'm no different than Riaz. I don't know what to feel, Issei says as he shouts at the end. Bro Swiss was shedding tears while Azazel tried to keep his hands from shaking. Issei's words were giving them a clear entrance to his wounded heart, and if they were in his place they would have either killed them or themselves. I just wanted some love like everyone else. Was I asking for too much? Maybe I was. Polygamy is a bitch. I found out the hard way that even more people can destroy you in an instant. Fuck. I'm sorry. I've been rambling since the start, Issei says as he lets it all out. Issei, do you regret falling for them? Asks Azazel in wonder. I just regret falling in love so quickly about falling in love itself. I'm not sure in the slightest, to be honest, Issei said as he looked at Azazel. If Cupid were real, then I'd kill him, Roswa said with a bit of anger. I would ask him only one thing though. Issei says if he was real, what would that be? Asked Azazel. What did he aim for when he missed my heart? Asked Issei while looking down at the floor. I doubt he would have an answer to that, said Azazel. Guys. Thanks. I needed this. You've always looked out for me and I can only hope to repay the favor. I'm a free devil now, so call me when you need me. Issei says he looks at them both. Sure, kiddo, by the way, I want to know what you did with all the porn you used to have. Asked Aziz aloud of curiosity. I sold it to collectors and I used the cash to get some modeling clay to start making sculptures. Want to see some I done? Issei explained. Wait, you made some sculptures? Asked Roswas with a shocked face. Sure, let's have a look, I love to see them, Azazel said with a smile. Okay. Sure. I'll go down and collect them back in a minute, Issei says as he heads downstairs to grab them. Chapter 4. Never-ending fights. As Issei went downstairs to his room to get his clay sculptures, Rosways looked at Azazel with a smirk. I know what you did, Rosways says while grinning. Whatever do you mean? Azazel shrugs, pretending he doesn't know. I saw one-way communication circle below Issei's chin just before he left. You made Rias and the others listen to his words, thoughts, and true feelings, Roswa says, staring daggers at Azazel. Yes, I did. You caught me. He needed to let it out, and they needed to hear it from him. I know he wouldn't tell them directly, and right now he wasn't angry, just hurting badly. He didn't have it in him to tell them face to face, and through the one-way communication circle, they couldn't cut him off. I can't imagine Issei holding all those mixed feelings this whole time. Such emotions destabilize sacred gears, but that didn't happen. He's stronger than ever, but is it worth it? Azazel explained his decision, ending in a question. I hope this doesn't backfire, Azazel, or you probably get the full blunt. Rosweiss warns Azazel as it's a double-edged sword effect. Well, as the saying goes, the calm before the storm, and it's only been a light rain, Azazel says and sighs. Issei finally arrived back with a tray full of his clay sculptures and showed off what he had done to Azazel and Rosways, who had massive saucers in their eyes when they saw what he had made. Wow, Issei, this one looks almost like realistic dragon scales, Roswaits said with a shocked expression. What? Drake said, panicking. Don't worry, Drake, and it isn't real. I used your scales as a reference and made it into a clay sculpture of yourself, Issei said with pride. That scared me almost as badly when you said you hated breasts. My nerves can't take much more hits, Drake said, now relaxing after the minor panic attack. Wait. You hate tits. Who are you? Azazel shouts as he's confused. That's exactly what I said, replied Drake, was sharing the information with Azazel. Oh, calm down, will you two? I don't hate them, not at all, but my love for them is greatly reduced to normal levels. There's more to women than their physical assets. Issei replied nonchalantly and noticed Rosweiss blushing a bit after saying that. But that, Azazel opened a bottle of scotch, then drank it all. He then sat by the fire and stared into it lifelessly like his soul was gone. I think you broke him. You got to do that to Oda next, Rosuya says as she was holding her stomach while laughing at Azazel's reaction. Both Issei and Rosuas laughed and continued looking at Issei's clay art, admiring them and enjoying their time together. Meanwhile, Rias and the others just sat there feeling conflicted as Issei. They needed to make things right and hope he would forgive them. What should we do? Asked Irina, looking at the other members of the orc. Don't know, Aquino said, looking down. I say I'm sorry, my love, Rias said while a lone tear went down her face. We got to make things right, and he still loves us, Asia says with hope in her voice. That's right, and he's still in love with us, Zenobia said, showing her usual denseness. He's not the dense idiot we know and love now. He's more of an angel than I am, Irina says as she spreads her wings that look gray rather than pure white. Irina. Your wings, Kiba said with a worried expression which made everyone, including Irina, look at them and were surprised to see them in such a state. We have to fix this or you'll fall, Akino says as she comforts Irina. After how I heard him, I'm surprised that I haven't fallen yet. Please forgive me, Issei, for I have failed you as a friend, Irina says as she holds her hands in prayer. You didn't pray to God this time, Gasper said as he looked at Irina. It's his forgiveness we need to earn, Kiba said as he now looked at the floor. Let's give Issei some space and then we can figure out how we can earn his forgiveness back, Akino said with determination in her eyes. You heard what he just said. He still loves us all and wants us, Ria says in a delusional state of selfishness. For the love of, did you not hear everything else he said? We made him double if he's worthy of love. He saw the hate we felt when we thought he wasn't confessing. We pushed him into a corner, so let's not do it again. I feel that a part of him doesn't even want to be in love anymore, especially with any women here. I wouldn't if I were in his place, Akino shouted, looking angry at the way he has responded. He was traumatized by Rainer. He was afraid of women, and that's one of the reasons he didn't take advantage of us. He earned our love, and we made him think that we took it all back. He overcame his fear and opened his heart to us until that day. Let's not hurt him anymore, please. Akino started to sob uncontrollably. Back to Issei. After Issei, Rose and Azazel had their fun, Issei went to his room, put his collection back under his bed, and then got ready to go to sleep as he needed it. So partner, tomorrow you need to meet up with that pervert girl and them kendo girls, Drake said. Yeah? We are all going to have lunch and hang out a bit. I remember how my ex-friends passed out, Issei says to his faithful friend while having a bit of a laugh at the end. After how you told them that you don't like breasts, I think many more lost their grip on reality for a minute, Drake replied while laughing himself. Yeah, I bet it was the day's highlight for others. Issei said, to be honest, you and Aiko were the biggest perverts there, no offense. Drake says, man, none has taken, but what's your point? Issei replied to Drake for an explanation. Out to have the two of you not fucked each other's brains out. Drake said out of seriousness. Bruh, what the fuck, Drake? Issei says while face-spuming himself. Sorry, I hope you do become good friends, or dare I say something more? Drake says with a slight smirk. Okay, what should I get for lunch moving on from that horrific conversation? Issei asks, pondering. How about doing a home-cooked meal to share with them? Drake replied with a smile. That's a brilliant idea, Drake, Issei replied with a massive grin. After the conversation with Drake, Issei went to sleep since he had to get up early to make the meal. But unfortunately, he didn't notice the presence of Kaneko, who partially heard his conversation with Drake. Issei and Aika. I'm going to be sick, Kaneko says to herself as she goes to her bathroom and pukes in the toilet. The following day Issei woke up early and made a meal for Aika, Murayama, and Caddis. After his rambling with Rosways and Azazel, he felt much better and decided to make lunches for everyone else. He packed the ones for the three girls and went to school early. He met up with Ika, Murayama, and Caddis and gave them the lunches he had prepared for them. Too bad he didn't notice the entire orc spying on him. This caught the attention of the other students, and they saw Issei talking to Ika, Murayama, and Caddis, talking with a homemade meal in their hands. Yesterday's rumors were still the hot topic, and this will start a flame one way or another. During lunchtime, Issei and the three girls sat on a bench talking while the orc was spying on them from a distance, but couldn't hear much due to the noise caused by the cars driving on the nearby road. As Issei and the girls, the orc could see them having their lunch together, and having a good time, even sharing laughs, and how they got jealous. Then they followed us on our date wearing a tiger mask, surgical mask, a hat, sunglasses, and a paper bag. They all tried to hide behind a pole, Issei says as he explains his date with Aikano. All three girls were laughing at what he said. Then we ran for it, and somehow ended up in the Love Hotel district, Issei says as he leans his head backward and the girls start to turn red. The other girls were watching from the side, and as Issei's head couldn't be seen followed by seeing Ikea's turning red, they all jumped out and started sprinting towards them and reaching them in 4 seconds. Issei, did you just kiss her? Ria shouted with an angry tone, making Issei and the girls jump at her yelling. What the hell, Rias? Can I spend some time with my friends? Issei said, wanting answers. Looked like you and Issei were becoming more than friends. We all saw you kiss her, Rias said with a half glare. Issei turned red again, Rias started to cry, and Issei got mad again. Are you all being serious right now? As his anger showed, all of us were just hanging out. Issei said, it looked like it was more than that. From our perspective, Irina says while pouting, it wasn't like that. We were just talking. Aika said, standing up for Issei while other girls nodded their heads in agreement. Oh yeah? What about? Asia asked while tilting her head. About how I can have some alone time without all of you breathing down my neck out of jealousy. Fucking hell. Issei said, showing his frustration. Eyes, come on, let's leave. We attracting too much attention. Akino says out of seriousness. At least someone here other than Reiza-sensei has common sense. Issei said nonchalantly. Ouch, Kaneko replied, feeling hurt. I'm sensing a lot of bad blood between you two. Aika says, looking between Rias and Issei. Zip it, you're trying to get between our Issei and us. Rias says with a hint of anger in her tone. Yours? Fuck that. Issei said, now getting angrier. What? Issei, Rias says before getting cut off. Girls, I need to speak to them alone. Can we catch up later in class? Issei said as he turned to the three girls. Okay, sure. Thanks for lunch, Issei. We'll see you later in class, said all three girls as they could sense how angry Issei was. All three girls left and made the other students watch from a distance left. I know that Azazel-sensei let you hear what I said last night. I noticed the communication circle he used, but despite knowing how I feel, most of you continue to jump to conclusions without even asking my side of trying to find the truth. Issei says as he starts to shout at the end. Okay. So why did you make lunch for them, as I never got along with them before? Asia asks out of curiosity. As Issei takes a deep breath. I snapped at IK yesterday and apologized to Murayama and K2, so I made lunch as an apology. I was feeling better after last night, so I made lunches for everyone, Issei says as he explains himself. We did it again, didn't we? Irina said as she looked down to the floor. Yeah. You all did, so little faith next time, Issei said nonchalantly. Issei, we're sorry. Irina says but gets cut off by Issei. Save it. I don't want you hollow apologies, Issei said as he looked away from them and thought about walking off. These aren't hollow apologies. We really mean it, Ria says, trying to hold in her tears. Then why continue to hurt me? Accuse me of something I didn't do? I'm just trying to do right by those around me, trying to move past everything that had happened and maybe try to love you, girls, the way I used to. But you're making it so fucking hard right now, Issei says as he raises his voice at the end. Issei. Rias tried to say before getting cut off again by Issei. I'm still so angry at you for what you said and still trying to pick up the pieces. But how can I do that when you all continue to crush my heart to dust? Issei says as his hands start to shake. I can't keep doing this, Rias. I quit the club B, and I need time away from everyone. When Issei said this, Rias froze, Asia went wide-eyed, and others were quiet, trying to process what just happened. Issei, please, no, don't leave us. Akino shouts in panic. I'm not leaving for good, and I just need a break, Issei said as he tried to calm Akino down. Wait. If you knew that we could hear you yesterday, why not tell us directly? Kaneko asks while worried. What good would that have done? You would jump to conclusions and misinterpret everything I would say, Issei was saying before Rias interrupted. Issei, Rias was saying before Issei interrupted her this time. Enough, Rias. Our relationship will be my death, and I'm pissed off. I don't want to say something that I might regret later, Issei says as he finishes explaining what he thought. But we love you, Ria says as she goes silent at the end. Then you certainly won't like what I want to say right now. I don't want to hurt you. Any of you like you hurt me, Issei said what he thought. But big brother, Gasper said before Issei cut him off. Don't call me that, Issei said as his anger increased. That night, The same restraint that Sosichus and Grafia came to visit was resurfacing. Eyes. Let's give him some space, Kiba said, knowing Issei would flip any minute. Issei silently nods a thank you to Kiba and walks away, leaving the other behind, which he manages to bump into Ike on the way to class. Hey. You doing okay? Ika asked, a bit worried about Issei. Yeah. I don't have Stockholm Syndrome anymore. Piece of advice, don't join her club and they aren't what they seem. Issei says as a bit of advice in case they ask her to join. I can tell by how they hurt you out of jealousy. Toxic as fuck, Ika says till they hear the bell ringing for class. Let's get to class, Issei says as he does a fake smile. Hey Issei, do you still love them? Ika asks, hoping not to step on a landmine. Unfortunately, yes, and they are making it difficult to keep it that way. Even though I don't want to, Issei says while he sighs at the end. Wow. To make the Issei Hidu, the lover of all women, to hate them so much. Makes me question if they are even human. Ika says, talking out loud. If only she knew, Drake said in Issei's mind. If only indeed. Issei replied and sighed. As the day ended, Issei headed straight home as he had enough of Rias and the other's stupidity. On his way, Kiba intercepted him using his speed. Hey Issei, wait up! Shouted Kiba. Get out of my way, Kiba. I'm done with every last one of you. Issei said with a hint of anger in his tone. Look, you're right. We jumped to conclusions when we shouldn't have. Kiba said as he tried to apologize. Too late for apologies. Issei said nonchalantly. Issei, do you hate us? Kiba asked out of worry. More and more every time you guys do shit like this. How are you all so dense? Issei replied with a question at the end which left Kiba stunned. Start training, the fight with Surig is not long away. Can we train together? Kiba asked to hope to earn his forgiveness this way. Sure, I could use a target. Was Issei's reply to Kiba's question, which sent a chill up Kiba's spine as his tone was as sharp as Ascalon when it was centimeters from his eyes last time. Alright, I'll tell the others first. Kiba says as he stuttered at the beginning. Issei walked away without another word as Kiba wandered back to the orc. He told everyone to stay away from Issei and train, and Issei is in a bad state. He trained the whole day and so did everyone else but barely. After Issei told them that he wanted to be alone, he avoided them. As they were training, they all got a call from Sosichus talking about a stray that had many other teams failed to stop, and it was causing havoc in the familiar forest. Alright, let's move out and try and kill the stray, Rias said, trying to act like a king now. You coming, Issei? Irina asked as she looked at him. Yeah, sure, I could do with a live target and a new familiar. There's a full moon tonight, Issei said, sending chills up everyone's spine except for Rosway's as she noticed he wasn't happy about something. As everyone teleported to the familiar forest and stepped out, Gasper got scared by some noises and clung to Issei. Scary? Gasper says as he hides behind Issei, and Issei is not saying anything to comfort him like he usually does. He wasn't giving anyone attention at all. Yufufu, this brings back memories, Akino says as she licks her lips and puts her finger on his chin. What's so memorable about this place? Rojuas asks out of curiosity. I got my first familiar here and it electrocuted Issei a few times when he was nearby. He is protective of me against other males, such a protective little dragon, Asia says, remembering that day. I still remember the slime that ate our clothes, Yufufufu, Okino said, blushing as she spoke. This caused Rias to blush from embarrassment and look at Issei. He didn't say anything, no slight change in his stoic facial expression. She thought that the old memory of the girls having their clothes eaten and leaving them primarily nude would get a reaction out of him, but none at all. Rias was about to speak, but Issei beat her to it. I'll get us a bird's eye view. Balance breaker, Issei said as he shouted his balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker. Drake shouted through the boosted gear and Issei flew up into the sky. Should we follow him? Asked Zenobia while tilting her head. No. He can handle himself. He told you all he needs space, fucking give it to him now, spread out in teams, Roswa said in teacher mode. I'm the king here, Rosways, Ria says with her hands on her hips. Then act like it, Rias. Roswas responded sharply. Excuse me? Rias responded as she was getting ticked off while Ross was getting angry like before. Do you have to remind you of what happened today and yesterday? How can you give him space? Do you hear what you want to listen to cause of your ego? What? Rias said, confused, which caused everyone around her to foshap him. Yep, you're denser than a black hole. Everyone split up. Irina and Zenobia go north, Kiba and Gasper go east, Asia and I will go west, while Aquino and Out King Khan go south. Roswa said as she did the quotations when she said king out of spite, DSK fine. Rias says as she clicks he tongue. They all split up after that. As Aquino and Rias walked, Rias decided to speak up and complain. She's got quite the nerve talking to her master like that, Rias says while ranting while Aquino stays quiet. Why aren't you saying anything? I have nothing to say. Aquino responded to that question. Don't tell me you're taking her side, Rias said while still complaining. I'm done taking sides, but she's right. None of us have been exactly up to the level of maturity we should be. Look what we did to Issei by simply not letting him finish his confession. Now he hates us, because every time he tries his best to keep himself in one piece, what do? We made it worse. Aquino said, expressing what she thought. But he still loves us. Rias says, only getting half the picture, and we just make him regret that. So far he hasn't broken up with you or us, but I don't blame him for needing space. Aquino says, finishing what she thought. Will we get our Issei back? Rias asks out of concern. Even if we get him back, he will never be the same. Aquino said as she sighed at the end. If only we. Rias says, but goes quiet at the end. What? Aquino asks with a puzzled look. I have an idea. Rias says as she does her usual mischief grin and whispers it into Aquino's ear. Rias, it's a bad idea. Aquino said as she gasped at the beginning, not if we do it at the right time. Let's take some time to convince the others, and when Issei calms down, we execute the plan. Rias said with determination. Well, if the old Issei is still in there somewhere, then it might. Aquino said as she pondered on that thought. Come on, and he won't be able to resist. We're going to go through with it. Rias said with fire in her eyes. I guess it's worth a shot. Aquino said, hoping it would work, but as she said that, one of Issei's dragon shots flew right past them and hit a tree husk in the distance. Both girls were shocked and they turned around to see Issei fighting in the distance, which led Aquino to call the others to come to their location. They see Issei fighting this stray and its potent power is strong. Ah, it's a monster! Gasper shouted and hid behind Kiba. What kind of stray is that? Asia says while in shock. Not sure, but Issei has a tough time. We need to help him, Kiba says, but then sees Issei and the stray take their fight into the air. The creature used its bladed arms to attack Issei, who used Ascalon to strike back and defend. His armor promotions weren't of much help in the air as his knight armor is thin and has little defense. His rook has the defense but is slow, while this creature has both speed and defense despite its thin body. Bishop's promotion has long-range attack abilities but needs to anchor itself to fire its twin cannons, so he would be an easy target. Issei, we're here. Let us help. Zenobia shouted up to Issei. This thing is too dangerous to fight without armor. Stay back. Issei shouted back as he blocked the incoming attack. Boost, 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 Drake echoing from his gauntlet. Issei ordered them to stay away as he and the stray exchanged slash after slash. The stray cut chunks of his armor off, but Issei also landed a few slashes, but his injuries healed remarkably fast. You won't survive this long, partner. Why not let the others help? Asked Dreg. They'll be dead then, Dreg, Issei responded to his friend. Then suddenly, the stray disappeared from his sight only for it to reappear behind him and land a hit on his shoulder, exposing it. Issei shouted in pain. Issei. Everyone shouted in panic. Stray prepared what looked like an energy attack in the form of a sphere between its horns, preparing to aim for Issei's head. This was until Issei responded to it, and elbowed him right in its side and managed to cause damage to daze the stray and giving Issei to take a chance to try his new promotion. Promotion to Queen, Issei shouts with all his heart. Cardinal Crimson promotion, Drake shouted out of his gauntlet. Issei's armor was promoted to its new queen form. His armor was the usual red and golden with the iconic green gems, but the twin cannons were on his back. His dragon wings looked like they were made of red light with golden dragons on each wing. His armor didn't look that much different appearance-wise, but the power it was giving off was no joke. This new armor has the combinations of all three promotions of the knight, rook, and bishop. As Issei boosted a few times and fired off his twin blasters, it hit the stray directly and was sent crashing into the ground over a few kilometers away. Issei flew full speed and used the rook's ability to partially change his arm with a solid punch to finish off the stray. He saw it stand up weakly and managed to punch it directly in the face. He was sent into the distance again with crashing sound resonation into his ears. Issei then went to the stray and prepared his dragon shot to finish it off, but he saw it turn to ash and looked confused, so he managed to get a sample of the ash to send it to Surzex to identify what was or who it was. Issei then deactivated his armor. Chapter 5. Achievements. After deactivating his armor, Issei looked at his shoulder. It was healed, not enough to raise worries from the others, but still needs some medical attention. Issei then puts the vial of the stray remains into his pocket dimension to send to Surzex to find out more information on what happened when he was interrupted by an unknown female coming out of a cave. May I ask why there is so much destruction near my home and drag on you? The unknown female asked, with long blue hair and blue eyes with a lovely dress showing her features. Sorry, I and others in the same peerage got asked to take out a strong stray that entered here. And for the question about Drag is because I am this generation Red Dragon Emperor. May I ask if he has done something wrong by you? Issei explained as he left a question at the end. Oh, hic, and the answer to that is yes and no. Drag borrowed some treasure of mine back when he was fighting his rival Albion, but every time I got near his hosts in the past, he told them to bolt it, said the unknown woman. I see, and sorry if this is rude, but I have never seen you before. May I ask for your name? Issei asked politely while he scratched the back of his head. Oh, where are my manners then? I am Tiamat, the Chaos Karma Dragon, or known as the strongest female Dragon King, Tiamat said while giving a slight bow. Nice to meet you, Tiamat-sama. I am called Issei Hayadu. May I ask what kind of treasure Drag borrowed from you in the past? Issei said, wanting to know what treasure Drag lost in the past. Hi Tiamat, long time, no see, and I would like to apologize to you, Tiamat. When I was fighting with Albion back in the day, some of the treasure was destroyed, and I don't know what happened to the rest after the three factions sealed us. Drag said in an apologetic voice. Yes, Drag has been a while, and I accept your apology, but I would still like to help find whatever is left of my treasure. Maybe your host can help me, Tiamat said as she eyed up Issei. I would love to help you, Tiamat-sama, as Surzex has made me a free devil after her sister put me through, Issei said while looking sad and emotionless, which made Tiamat wonder what happened to him. Well, Issei, have you got yourself a familiar yet? Tiamat asked out of random. Actually, no, sadly not, and my first attempt didn't exactly go well cause of my previous state, Issei said while blushing a bit out of embarrassment. Well, I would normally test you if you're worthy of me, but how about accepting me like a familiar? I sense a strong will to protect and a lot of potential. I can also help you train if you so wish, Tiamat said. Really, I am shocked and honored at the same time, and I would love to have you as a familiar, but also more than that, Issei said with a smile showing how happy he was. As Issei does the spell to make a familiar pact, he is so happy to have a strong familiar and another sensei to train him with, being a part dragon. Okay, I will stay at my home for now as I am the guardian of this forest, but if you need me, just summon me and I will come, even if it's just for a friendly chat, Tiamat says as she waves goodbye to Issei and heads back into her cave. I can't believe that just happened. She would normally kill my host for what I did in the past, Drag said in such a shocked manner. Well, I guess she's changing a bit, knowing to find the treasure you lost would require you to be semi-alive to help re-find them, Issei said while grinning at his achievement. Maybe, but having her as a familiar is also good. It would help you in many ways, especially for training, Drag said while grinning at what his partner achieved, the impossible. While Issei got his new familiar and chatted to Drag, The others were making their way to where Issei was from the explosion he did when killing the stray to come to its point of origin to where they saw Issei standing there. Issei, are you alright? Rosways asks with such a worried look. I'm fine, Rosways-sensei, Issei said as he smiles at her. Your shoulder is hurt. Let me heal it for you, Asia said as she started healing it. Thanks, Asia, Issei said as he smiled at her and patted her head. So, where's the stray? Akino asked while she looked around. This is all that's left of it. I put it in a vial as the way it disappeared into ash was weird, so I thought it could be sent to Surzex to pass it to the right area to get it looked at, Issei said as he showed her the vial of ash remains. I will do that now for you then, Issei. Good job out there, Akino said as she smiled at him and sent the vial through the magic circle to Surzex with a note to it. That stray was so creepy. Just how strong was it? Gasper asked while shivering to remember what it looked like. I would say ultimate class, I would believe. Its speed is something else. I felt the force of its strike, but it held back for some reason, Issei said while pondering why it pulled its power back. Well, at least that's job done. So will we talk about your new armor promotion? Kiba asked out of curiosity. You saw what it can do, so you should already know then. I also managed to get a familiar, Issei said as he grinned at his achievement. So, what familiar did you get? Rosewaist asked, knowing it's something good. I could, but it would ruin the fun, Issei said as he grinned at Rosois mischievously. But I wanted to help you find a good one, Rias said as she pouted. Nah, I'm good. You wouldn't be able to top what I got anyways, Issei said as he turned away from her. This caused Rias to frown as, once again, Issei shut her down. So in the end, they all went home and reported that the stray was strong, and its remains had been sent ahead to be looked at. When home, Issei went to his room, locked the door, and sat on the bed. Hey Dreg, is it possible to start training with some of the past senpais when I go into Mindscape? Issei asked as he laid down on the bed. I'm sure they would help. As I said previously, in the past they have many skills, some hand-to-hand and some magic base. There's even few strategists among them, Drake said to Issei as he waited to come into the Mindscape. Sweet, well, I come into the Mindscape now, then let's train hard till I wake up for school, Issei said as he pumped his fist into the air. As Issei was in his Mindscape, he was training hard and taught many things from usable magic to go with his most vital element, fire first and air second. He was also taught by many hand-to-hand combats from Sparta to Japan to Taiwan from past generals. Issei was finally exhausted and decided to call it a night and sleep. Issei suddenly woke up in shock in the early hour from reliving his past with Rainer and Juggernaut Drive. As he laid back down, his arm felt a familiar bump. When he turned around, he saw someone under his duvet. As he slowly lifted it, he saw the long black hair of Akino looking at him, and his expression went from shock to disappointment. Akino was wearing her see-through lingerie. When Issei saw it, he covered her body up. It's you, Issei said nonchalantly. You look disappointed, Akino said while looking sad. Well, what are you doing here? I locked my door for a reason, Issei said, now narrowing his eyes. I couldn't help it. I wanted to check up on you to make sure that you were okay as you got hurt by that stray yesterday, Akino said with concern, looking at Issei. Thanks for worrying, but I'm fine. Asia healed me, remember? Issei said as he questioned her at the end. Yes, physically, but you had a bad dream, weren't you? Akino said while still looking at Issei. Well, having bad dreams is nothing new for me now, Issei said as he looked down. Meaning? Akino asked, wanting to help in any way. Nothing, don't worry about it, Issei said as thoughts of Rain are stabbing him with light spears and seeing Asia die in his arms replayed. As Issei got out of bed, Akino became worried. Where are you going? It's only 4 a.m. Akino asked with worry in her tone. Anywhere but here. I told you guys that I needed space, but you are in my bed at 4 a.m. You know you'll have your rooms, Issei said as he went towards his door. But it's lonely without you. We miss you, Issei, Akino said as her voice went quiet at the end, which left Issei stunned for a bit. Whose fault was it? I wonder, Drage said in thoughts. Issei, your dragon power still needs to be siphoned out. I know you hate us, but at least let me do that for you, Akino says in such a playful tone. Issei didn't respond and went out of the room to the training zone underground, leaving Akino sitting on his bed and seeing the man she fell for walk away without a word. Once Issei entered the training room, he was promoted to queen form and practiced it to extend the time limit and try the new moves he learned from his senpai. He trained till at least 6:30 a.m. and was drenched in sweat, breathing heavily, and was exhausted, so he made his way to the shower to freshen himself up. Partner, your new armor can last longer. Before it was 5 minutes, but now I can hold it for 30 minutes. Drake said with pride. Thanks, Drake. I can't help but wonder how strong I would have been if I wasn't a pervert. Issei said as he thought about it. You probably would have been dead, Drake said as he said what he thought. How so? Issei asked as he wondered why. Well, it was lust that turned into love and then into power for them, which became the desire to protect them and others. It was the real deal, but as to how you managed to maintain that form from 5 to 30 minutes so quickly, it's almost too good to be true even for you, Dreg replied honestly. Even I'm surprised, but I'm not going to question the good thing we got going, Issei said with determination. Sarag is going to have a tough fight ahead of him, Dreg said as he laughed. Well, I did promise him a good fight and I plan to deliver it, Issei said with a grin. After Issei left the bathroom, he got ready for school and went to the kitchen as hunger finally got his attention. Once he entered the kitchen, everyone, including his parents, was already there. Morning, Issei said as he sat down to eat his breakfast. Well, look who's finally up. You took your sweet time, Mickey said while looking at Issei angrily. Why are you up so late? Gora said while looking over his newspaper. It's only 7 a.m. and school starts at 8. Also, I've been up since 4 a.m., Issei said as he looked at them. Watch that attitude, young man, Nikki shouted at her son. He was probably looking at them porn stuff again, no doubt. Gora said with a stern look. Actually, no, I was studying some bits for school, Issei said, narrowing his eyes. Issei got up and went out the door and slammed it shut, and he noticed they didn't care about him anymore, since they now had girls they treated like daughters. The girls became gloomy as they watched Issei leave without eating his breakfast, and how his parents tore into him for no reason. They just looked at each other and stopped eating their breakfast and realized Issei had left without eating anything, and he trained for 2.5 hours straight. According to Akino, this caused Asia to shed a tear, and the parents saw it. Now, look what the boy did. He upset Asia by acting how he is, Mickey said with her hands on her hips. Forgive me, Mrs. Heidu, but it wasn't him who upset her, it was you too, Razwa said as she stared at them. What did we do? Gora asked, confused. You tore into him for no reason, Razwa said as she thought to herself how Issei was right about his parents loving the girls more than him. Well, he's been acting weird and ignoring you girls. Plus he's a good-for-nothing pervert, Mickey said with disgust. There's so much more to him than that, and he's done well that I know that only he is capable of. Also, he's not a pervert anymore, and as his teacher, I can confirm it as he hasn't caused or been in any trouble for months now. Also, if you check his room, you would see it devoid of anything lewd. His grades have also improved considerably. He also becomes the most athletic student to date, Razwa said, trying to prove a point. Well, we don't believe that he always keeps his room locked, so clearly he's still a pervert, Gora said, which stunned Razwa says they were not even trying to listen correctly. This caused all the girls to get a little mad and depressed as their words reminded them of what Issei said on the rooftop that night as he blamed himself. But now they see that his parents got under his skin and angered him for who knows how long. They all got up and left for school without saying another word. They wanted to defend Issei, but the way his parents were acting was pointless. Following Issei, even after becoming exhausted from training beyond his limits, he had already made it to school. As he ran once, he shut the door behind him, and he noticed his speed increased significantly because of those weights he trained with. Once he entered the school grounds, he had almost an hour to calm himself down. Drake spoke to him. Feeling any better, partner? Drake asked out of concern. Better? No idea, to be honest. I feel so hurt right now, Issei said as he replied to his friend. Issei wasn't lying either. His face was blank with no emotions and his eyes were devoid of the spark of life he usually had. Issei looked at the time on his phone and saw it was nearly time for class. On his way, he encountered Ravel. "Hey Issei, are you doing okay?" Ravel asked, noticing how lifeless his eyes were. "Yes, how are you, Ravel? Hope your family is okay." Issei replied with no emotion at all to his reply. Oh my god, there's no emotion to him at all. Just what did they do to you, Issei? Ravel thought. Ravel? Issei asked while tilting his head, which caused Ravel to snap out of her thoughts. Yes. I'm fine and so are the family, thank you for asking, Ravel said as she bowed. Well, class is about start in a few minutes. Let's get going, Issei said as he started to walk. Okay, Ravel said as she caught up to Issei. Are you alright? You don't look like it, Issei said, a bit worried about his cowhide. I should be asking you that, mister. You're not acting like your usual self, Ravel said in her usual tsundere tone while pointing her finger at him. I'm fine though. Thank you for your concern, Issei said as he turned to Ravel. Ding dong, ding dong. We did that rang a bit early. Let's get going before we get punished by the teachers, Issei said as he started to walk faster, leaving a stunned Ravel. As both go to their respective classes, those who saw Issei walk by them noticed that his movements were almost mechanical, and seeing the empty look in his eyes worried them. Even Yuriyama and Keitus tried to talk to him, but Issei's response was just as devoid as his movements were. He just went to his desk and took out his book. Never thought I'd say this, but I miss his happy energy, Keitus said, looking at her best friend worrying about Issei. Whatever happened to him after that lunch together, I don't think he deserved it, Murayama said as she worried about Issei. Aika saw the empty look in his eyes and decided to get to the bottom of this. When they hung out during lunch, she and the other girls enjoyed their time together. She saw that there was more to his former pervert than they thought. Wow, the orc upset him that day and he said something about them jumping to conclusions. I should ask them about it, but knowing them, they won't say anything. Wait. Maybe the student council president could, since she is Ria's best friend as they all hang out. Maybe she can help get to the bottom of this. But is it my place to say something? Issei is in pain, and he is my friend, and I can't leave him like this. So maybe an anonymous tip would be a good subtle start, Aika thought as she's apprehensive about Issei. As the day progressed, the lunchtime bell rang, and Issei made his way to the cafeteria to eat his lunch on his own until his fellow pawn and friend Saji showed up. Hey buddy, you feeling alright? Also, don't bother trying to lie as I would tell, Saji said as he sat opposite him. To be honest, I feel men hurt, Issei replied while eating his lunch. I heard you left the orc. Wanna talk about it? Sugi asked to hope to get a clue to what happened. Not really, because if I told you what happened, you'd tell Sona as you're supposed to, and it'll just make her dig deeper until the truth came out, and believe me when I say that it's not worth it. So let me just say that it's between us, things got the wrong and kind of got heated, and we're not exactly on speaking terms. Issei said what he was thinking. Damn, I'm sorry, buddy. If you ever want to talk to me as we're friends, let me know, Sugi said while seeing how devoid Issei was. Thanks, Saji. Really, I appreciate it, Issei said. Hey, I know what wanna train together for the rating game as we can help each other out, Saji says, thinking it might be an excellent way to get answers. Yeah. You know what? That'd be fun, Issei said as he smiled a bit, still with no life in his eyes though. Okay. I'll see you at your place after school then, Saji says as he gets up and leaves Issei alone. It's not my place. Never was and surely not my home anymore, Issei muttered as he took out the trash and went somewhere to chill a bit. As Sugi left Issei, he went straight to Sona to explain about Issei, to tell her the anonymous tip was correct and was worried about him. As he knocked on the door and waited for an answer, he wondered. In? Sona said behind the door. Saji then entered the student council room and told her of his report. Saji, what did you find out about Issei from this anonymous tip? Sona asked her pawn. Well, I would say that it was correct. As Issei and I were talking, I could see how devoid of life he is of his usual self, and not only that, he did tell me it was something between him and the orc to sort out, so I'm guessing it had to do with that. Saji said with a hint of worry. That's not good considering their match with Saraga's soon, and if Issei isn't himself, that is worrying. Maybe I should find out through Rias, Sona says while talking out loud on the last bit. I would say leave it for the time being, Kaichu. As Issei did say, it's between them to sort it out, and if we get involved, it might backfire onto us as well. Saji says with concern. That is true, okay. For now, keep an eye on him. I hope whatever happened fixes itself before it goes south. Sona says looking directly at Saji. No worries, Kaichu, I'm going to his at the end of the day to train with him. Maybe I can find out a bit more from being there, plus also it helps me out for our next match as well. Saji replies with a smile. Very well, you better head to class now and let me know what you find out afterward. Sona says as she gets up and heads out of the office with Saji behind her. After school, Issei and Saji walked to his place and got ready for training. Once they got changed into combat gear, Issei suddenly felt something, a desire to get stronger and fight as I had a fire in them. Be ready to get your ass beat, Saji, Issei said in his determined voice with a grin. Saji, hearing this, looked at him and saw him grinning and the fire in his eye ready to burn. This made Saji smile, and it lit a fire in him. Hell yeah, but I going to kick your ass more like promotion to queen, Saji said as he shouted at the end. Issei then took a fight stance in preparation, and this caused Saji to get confused at first. Aren't you going to promote? Saji asked, tilting his head. Not unless you want a major beatdown, Issei said with a massive grin. Oh, so that's how it is, Saji said with a grin of his own. Yep, damn right it is, Issei replied. With that, Issei charged at him with full speed, and if Saji weren't using his queen promotion, he wouldn't have been able to dodge his attack in time. Saji then used his absorption line to ensnare Issei, but managed to move out of the way, to which he grabbed onto the line and tossed Saji over to the side. As he caught himself in midair, he summoned Vritra to help fight against Issei, and this caused Issei to use his balance breaker and take Vritra head-on. Issei was promoted to his knight, then rook, and then bishop as he saw fit and gave Saji a tough time, but was hanging in there still. That's awesome, Issei, but it still doesn't look like it's strong enough against Vritra. Saji said, Hey, you went and jinxed it now, promotion queen, Issei says as he turns into his new queen form. Saji went in a squeaky voice after feeling Issei's power with his new form. What the fuck? Saji said as he was struggling to move. Issei was now in his cardinal crimson promotion and was radiating his power and using the same intensity he thought against the stray that night before. He hit Vritra directly and knocked him out. Saji couldn't believe that one punch took out one of the Dragon Kings. Ah dang it, you win, but may I ask why you didn't just boost your power? Saji asked out of curiosity. Well, you brought out the dragon within, so I had to get serious and boosting my power, and my balance breaker wasn't going to cut it, but honestly, you have gotten strong, Issei said as he powers down from his balance breaker forms. Likewise, so tell me, when did you get so ripped? Saji asked as he could see Issei's muscles through his shirt. I use weights and a strong workout regimen without using my sacred gear. The strong I am in base form, the stronger my balance breaker and promotions would be. Oh, and speaking of which, don't tell anyone about my queen form. I'm saving it for Sergei, Issei says with a grin. That's a given, and I believe Sergei would love this surprise. He is proud that you have trained so far to fulfill your promise to him. Got any extra weights? Saji says he wants to train generally with Issei. Sure, it helps you get in tip-top shape, even might get the girls peeping on you, Issei said as he laughed. I like the sound of that, but I want to impress and prefer guys with brains over brawn, Saji said as he laughed. Honestly, both are equally important, and you use the absorption line to not only restrict my movements but to take away any power I had, so you have both brain and brawn since you made me use my trump card almost immediately, Issei says as he gives weights to Saji. Now, let's get to training those muscles. Right, Saji shouted as he wore the weights. Since then, both Saji and Issei would train together day and night. This made Kiba and Gasper feel replaced, But this also made Sona and her peerage notice how close the boys got training hard together. But whenever Issei was alone, he felt hurt and sad. The girls finally gave Issei some space, and little by little, he showed more emotions around people. And he ignored his parents whenever they started to belittle him, but would leave the room when they did it in front of people. Their true feelings about their son were laid bare now that they have the daughters they always wanted. This made Issei sometimes barricade his bedroom door and shut the windows to stop anyone from coming in. Chapter 6. Realization of the truth. As Issei was having bad thoughts from his latest encounters with his parents belittling him, he had an urge to summon Ascalon to kill himself, which ended up with Drake pulling him into his mindscape to comfort him to calm him down to such a degree. It's getting worse, Drake thought. Hey Drake, I'm sorry, by the way, Issei said to his partner and friend. What for, Issei? Drake asked, confused. Are you being stuck in this gear, and with me as a host, I'm forced to use your power again and again just like those before me, and please forgive me, Issei said as he bowed his head. You're the first person to treat me as a friend and ask to use my power. You only use your power to do good. If anyone deserves to have my power, it's you, Drake said. Thanks, Drake, means a lot you are saying that, Issei says while smiling. I'm happy to be of help. This is probably one of the few times I did some good, Drake says as he laughs at the end. Speaking of which, Drake, is it wrong for me to love them still? Issei asked out of curiosity. Sorry, partner, but that's for you to decide, as I can't help no matter how much I want to. I don't understand the feelings since I've never had the chance to be in love myself, Drake says in an apologetic voice. For real? I would have thought you had a babe of a dragon somewhere in your time, Issei says as he tilts his head. Sadly, it is true, but I've seen how happy you became because of it, which made me envious, Drake says as he lowers his head in shame. Envy is an ugly thing, especially when it comes with pain, Issei says as he pats his partner on his side to comfort him. True, I can see that pain in your eyes sometimes. It's the kind that one can't recover from, Drake says as he looks at his partner. Nope, sadly we can't, Issei says before he remembers something. Oh, Drake, has Alsha and Belzard left, or are they still around somewhere? He asks to hope they are still around. Sadly, they have left this realm as they decided to go to rest finally. May I ask why? Drake asks, now wondering what his partner is thinking. Well, that sucks. I was hoping they could teach me any skills they knew since they were the strongest past hosts. Is there a chance you hold any memories of skills they used that could help in any way? Issei asks while looking up at his friend. I should be able to, since all their memories get stored in my gear, Drake says as he gets up and looks through something which only he can see. Sweet, hopefully, can find something beneficial. Maybe some hand-to-hand techniques or magic skills, Issei says to himself, but Drake hears him and smirks. I've managed to locate the memories, partner. Their weapons of choice is also interesting, as Elsha was able to hold Half-Hand, which is a weapon of choice from the Asgardian god Heimdall, and Belzard had two of original weapons of King Arthur that were never found, which I also found the location of, as Belzard knew his time was coming. He hid them with a seal in the least expect place, Drake says with a grin. Wow, I heard about Half-Hand from the Rossweiss when she talked about Asgard. Wonder if I can hold it him. But other King Arthur weapons, I thought he only had two, which were Excalibur and Caliborn. Issei says as he tilts his head. Well, in theory to certain parts, but had 6 weapons of choice, which are Excalibur, Caliborn, Clarent, Caernwinen, Pridwen, and Romnian, Drake explains to Issei. Wow, so what are the other weapons? Issei asks out of curiosity. Well, Clarent was known as the Sword of Peace till Arthur's son stole it, and killed Arthur with it, so it became known as the Coward's Blade. Caernwinen is Arthur's dagger, which helps him blend into the shadows, so to speak. Pridwen was a shield which can withstand any attack, and last of not least, Romnian is Arthur's spear, which is just as deadly as his swords, which can cut anything in half. Brage says as he remembers his days with Arthur and Merlin. Wow, so I can use their past knowledge of how they use their weapons, and maybe use them with Ascalon, but it would be cool if we can retrieve Arthur's spear and shield and maybe fuse them into the armor as we did with Ascalon. Issei says while thinking out loud. Only you'd be able to think like that. But yes, It'd be nice to be able to retrieve them, and since you're a free devil now, maybe be able to make it easier to go search for them. But I would suggest someone come with us, either a backup or good at communicating for information. Drake says. He giggles to his comment. Hey, that's rude. Are you saying I'm bad at communicating? Issei says as he pouts. Not at all, the partner, just sometimes you jump in head first without having a plan, Drake says with a smirk. Fine, I'll let you have that one. If I take someone with me, it probably is either Rosways or Ravel, but be more Ravel as others become suspicious if I take Rosways with me. Plus Ria's no doubt would refuse to be how she is a current, Issei said as he explains. I agree, Ravel would probably be a better choice, as one, the redhead has no domain over her, and two, she quite clever in such a way, Drake says as he agrees with Issei. Not only that, I will be able to spend some time with her, as I know she's worried about me since that incident. Plus, she has been put as my manager from the show in a way, Issei says as he laughs at the end. Well, let's watch these past clips and see what I can learn from them before I wake up for school, Issei says with a smile. Okay, partner, Sarag is defiantly not going to know what hits him. Yuff, Drake says as he giggles at the end. As Issei was learning in his mindscape, he didn't notice his door being unlocked and a particular angel creeping in, and sitting next to Issei saw him sweating a bit like he was in a nightmare. Irina puts her hand on Issei to hopefully calm him down, but instead makes him panic and fall off his bed, with his breathing becoming fast and shallow due to the fear of it being so sudden. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, Issei, Irina says as she bows in a sorrowful manner, as she feels bad for scaring him. As Issei calms himself down, he sat up straight and looked at Irina. It's fine, just don't sneak up next time, Issei says as he sighs at the end. Right. Sorry about that, Irina says again, bow. So, what's up? Do you need something? Issei says, tilting his head. Right. Not going to lie. I need your forgiveness, we all do. I know you said you need space, and I know I'm selfish asking for this, but please forgive us, Irina says as she has her head still lowered but sniffing, trying not to cry. Look, I want to forgive you all, but you are making it so hard, as none of you are letting me figure out how to forgive you all as you're rushing, and as you know, I'm not in a good place right now, Issei says as he told her the truth. Only reason we keep asking is cause we can't keep seeing you in such pain, Irina says, tears starting to come down her face. Then don't look, just let me have some time and not rush it, please. As a friend you know and love, as you know how I'm like with grudges, Issei says as he wipes Irina's tears off her face. Okay, Issei, I leave. Breakfast will be ready soon if you like to join us, Irina says as she gets up and goes towards the door. Thanks, but I am not going to school today. I'm not feeling good at the moment, Issei says as he gets up. Okay. Again, I'm sorry, and I'll speak to you later. Maybe, Irina says in hope. Maybe yes. If I'm up now, hurry up. You don't want a bad attendance added now, Issei says as he makes the show motion with his hands to make her laugh. Okay, Irina says as she closes Issei's door. Issei was basically in his room most of the day to catch up on sleep since he was drained. As he opened his door to head downstairs to grab something to eat, his parents ran into him. Where have you been all day? Mickey says with hands on her hips with an angry look. It's already near the end of school and now you're coming down. We saw Raina come down for breakfast alone, and we still don't know what they see in you, Gora says as he also looks angry. Again, parents were berating him with questions and comments to the point Issei was getting angry himself. As he looked at them, they saw his eyes flashing green. Both parents shut up and saw the rage in them, as his once kind brown eyes were now dragon-like and glowing green, and he heard a deep growl coming from his voice. Enough! Issei shouts in his rage, which now shows a silhouette of the red dragon with green eyes right behind him. It lasted for a few seconds till it was enough, then Issei collapsed onto his knee, clutching his chest as it was starting to hurt. Mickey tried to help him up, but Issei refused her help and managed to stand up and started walking back up the stairs. What was that? Both Mickey and Gora said as they looked at each other. Both parents went upstairs and knocked on Issei's door to make sure he was okay, as he had never seen this. Son, are you okay? We're here if you want to talk, Gora says with no reply. Honey, please, we are worried about you. Mickey says, hoping for something. Just go away. You have already proven you rather have daughters than have a son. Issei shouted in anger. Both parents couldn't believe what they heard as they knew what they had done and didn't know what to do, so both left while thinking of a way to make amends. As Issei had a war with himself trying to stop his senpais chanting the Juggernaut Drive chant, he failed to notice what was happening to his arm. Dreg woke up seeing Issei in distress and immediately flaring his dragonic aura and sending a coursing through Issei's body to try and calm him down. Dreg was calling out to Issei, but he couldn't hear him. All Issei was seeing were flashbacks of Rias and others hurting him and how his parents showed their true colors. Issei's left arm was deforming, showing his dragonic arm like how it was when he came out of Juggernaut Drive the first time, as it was reaching all way up to his shoulder. Issei let out a roar of pain that everyone throughout the house and even in the training area could hear. Everyone rushed to find the source of it, but sadly first people to find where it came from were Issei's parents, and they saw what was happening to Issei, which they could only describe as a monster. The others immediately came and saw Issei's parents outside looking into his room in horror, so they all rushed in and saw the state Issei was screaming in pain holding his arm. What is that? Is that Issei? Asked a shocked Mickey. You two need to leave now, Razwa says, seeing their shocked looks. Issei, Rias shouts as she tries to go near him. What's happening to you? Aquino asks while having a pained look on her face. Everyone, please help him. Drake shouts, trying to calm him from inside. We need to call Azazel now, Kaneko says while holding down Issei, trying to use her senjutsu to help. Right on it, Razwa says as she leaves to call him. Issei, please be alright, Asia says as she tries to use her twilight healing on him as well. Suddenly Azazel came through the magic circle with his wings out, and didn't care if Issei's parents saw him, as he was more worried about Issei than anyone else. Sensei, not hiding your wings, Issei says as he speaks quietly, trying to stay awake. By the looks on your parents' faces, kiddo, I can tell they saw something more than they shouldn't, so what difference does it make? Azazel says as he ruffles Issei's hair before getting ready to transport him to the Grigori to help him out. As Azazel picks up Issei and gets ready to go through his magic circle, Issei's parents, no longer in fear, look at them, wanting answers. We want answers, Gora shouts, wanting to know what's happening. Issei, that's our Issei, right? Mickey says in confusion. You tell me, was I ever? Issei says quietly, but enough for both parents to hear before Azazel and Issei disappear. Both parents look at everyone else trying to work out what just happened. We like some answers, please. What's happened to our Issei? Goro asks with a sad look. Rias was about to erase their memories, but Razwa stepped in to stop and decided it's time to tell them the truth. Time for the truth now, Rias, no more lies. They need to know everything, Razwa says, then turns to both parents. You two need to sit down for this explanation. Both parents nodded. At the Grigori, as Azazel and Issei came out of the magic circle, they rushed him to a bed to plug him in and try and find out what was causing this problem with Issei. Issei was finally stable but was quiet, so Azazel was speaking to Dreg. So what happened to him, Dreg? Azazel asks as he looks at the notes from the scan. I don't know, from what I can see. Something triggered Azazel's rage to the point that he was about ready to chant for Juggernaut, but then stopped when he started seeing flashbacks from what happened to him. Dreg explains to Azazel with a worried tone. That's not good. If that happened, it means his mental state was to the point of suffering, which the sacred gear reacted to. Azazel says, now worry for Issei. I know what you mean, Azazel. I know he's been fighting his emotions back a lot, but I guess there's always a limit till it breaks. Drake says that there is, sadly. Well, least, he's resting now, and hopefully we can sort his arm out back to normal, Azazel says as he gets up to leave. Azazel, thanks for being there for him. He looks up to you a lot, Drake says. No worries, Drake. To be honest, I see him as a son myself, Azazel says as he smiles and then leaves. Akathig residence. Both Issei's parents were finally told the truth about everything and explained that everyone there was a devil apart from Irina, who was an angel. They showed them their wings respectfully and did a bit of magic to prove that they were telling the truth. They explained how Issei was a former pawn. Fallen angels explained about sacred gears and how they used magic to make them forget as they were seeing clues to the supernatural, which was the easy bit but now was the complicated explanation. They started telling why Issei was attacked, then reincarnated into a devil, then having to fight the fallen angels, then fighting Ryza and the cadre Kakabeel, then the Juggernaut drive after he thought Asia was gone once more, then how to stop Loki, Volume 1, the hero faction and saving Yasaka. Still, none of that broke him as much as they explained about the interrupted confession, which leads to all of this. To which he left Orc and cleared all the porn-related stuff out of his room. Issei's parents couldn't believe it as it was so much to take in. His mother started crying and his father just looked down at his feet in shame. Now I see why you girls love him so. He's not just some pervert but a real man. He went through all that in just a few months, and he barely had a choice in any of it. Gora said as he comforted his wife who couldn't speak due to her sobbing this whole time. Just a while back, Issei, Azazel, and I were on the rooftop and what he said broke our hearts. What did he say? Guru asks out of curiosity. The reason he wanted many loving partners was because he wanted some real love and to give you all the daughters you always wanted. His pervertedness was just a disguise which was rooted so deeply that he couldn't tell the difference between them. Razwa said as she wiped her tears that were forming. This whole time, we were disappointed in him for being born a boy instead. God gave us such a kind, caring, and strong boy who saved everyone several times over. Guru says as he puts his hands on his head in shame. His heart is like a scarce gem. It may look like any other, but once you look past it, it's so priceless as it'll bring you so much joy just by knowing that it exists, and you're one of those who saw it with your own eyes. Razwa says while smiling. He made our peerage come into a true family, Kiba says as he smiles. Suddenly Rias immediately bowed down in front of both parents with her hands and knees and head on the ground, which was the ultimate symbol of apology in Japan. Please forgive me for what I have done to Issei, Rias says, showing her mistake. It's him. You need to ask for forgiveness, and so do we now. Gora says as Mickey nods in agreement. But that, Rias broke down as did the other. They just sat on the floor while Razwa sat on the bed and looked at all the clay sculptures that Issei made and smiled as she saw one of her in her Valkyrie outfit. Time skip. Issei was cold for nearly 2 weeks after he collapsed from low energy. His arm and boosted gear were back to normal, but he still felt drained. As Issei slowly started to wake up, his vision was blurry, and lucky Azazel was there to see how he was doing. Wow. You scared us there for a bit, Azazel says, concerned but relieved. Is that you, God? Issei says is still trying to focus. The FFT no, kiddo, it's just me. Azazel says while in a laughing fit. Azazel? Where am I? Issei asks, confused about what's going on. Bingo, kiddo, you were out like a light. Azazel says as he finishes doing his checks. Speaking of lights, please turn it off. It's hurting my eyes, Issei says as he tries to cover them up. Without Azazel turning the lights off and opening the window to let fresh air in, a full moon showed its beauty within the distance in the clear night sky. That's better, thanks Azazel, it's already helping, Issei says as he smiles. So Issei, you were out for a while, Azazel says in a worried tone. How long was I out for? Issei asks. Now worried. Half a month. You were like comatose, Azazel says seriously. What? Issei was stunned and then shouted as he realized what Azazel had said. He was in the coma for 2 weeks, kiddo, Azazel says. How did that happen? I can only vaguely remember what happened, Issei said as he sat on the bed to get comfy. Well, what Drake and I were guessing was you had a major emotion breakdown which reacted with your sacred gear to the point it was like how it was when you came out of Juggernaut Drive that time, Azazel explained. Bam, did anyone else see what condition I was in? Issei asked, a bit worried. Yes. Unfortunately, Circetus and Graphia saw it when they came to visit you, Azazel said seriously. Fuck. Issei shouted as he held his head with his hands in panic. It gets worse though, Azazel says while looking at Issei. How much worse can it get? Issei asked, dreading what he was going to find out. Due to the condition you went into, your body temperature started to fluctuate in fever conditions and had to bring in a lot of phoenix tears to try and get your temperature stable, Azazel says, still staring at Issei. Who brought in the phoenix tears? Issei asks, hoping it wasn't who he thought it'd be. Bravo brought them personally, Azazel said. I wish no one saw me like that, Issei said as he sighed. It was inevitable when many phoenix tears are ordered in an emergency. 1 or 2 members of the Phoenix clan would personally see to the delivery. Circeix, Graphia, and Ravel were horrified at what happened to you and begged me for answers, Azazel said, looking down at the floor this time as it was hard for him. What did you tell them? Issei asks out of curiosity. I told them that you had a major panic attack to something that made your juggernaut drive. Though the Phoenix tears helped out a bit to bring it back to stable control. Of course, it did take you a while to come out of the coma, as I'm guessing it used all your stamina and energy, Azazel says, straight-faced to Issei. Well, that's a shock, but then again, I can understand it since what happened before I had the breakdown, Issei says as he looks down at himself. Well, we'll talk about that later if you like, Azazel says as he pats Issei's shoulder to comfort him. Yeah. Anyway, how did Circeix and Graphia know about me and my current condition? Issei asks out of curiosity. Well, the day after you slipped into your coma, they went to your place to visit you and see if the others didn't cause more damage to you. But since they couldn't find you, they asked Rose was and she told them you're with me. They sudden rushed right over and their timing was horrible as they saw what state you were in, Azazel says while shrugging. Issei said as he's progressing what Azazel said. But on the bright side, your parents nearly wet themselves when they finally saw Circeix as not just as Rhea's brother but as the Devil King. Rosways had to leave the room cause she had trouble holding in her laughter because of it, Azazel explained as he laughed at the end. I never expected that from Roswa-sensei. By the way, does she and others know about me being out cold for this long? Issei asked, now worried. Yes. I told her, but only her, as I didn't want the others to come rushing in like a storm and make it uncomfortable when you did wake up, Azazel says as he explains. I should do something for her as a thank you, Issei says while talking out loud, which makes Azazel smirk. Well, she's currently making the others train super hard for the raiding game, Azazel said. Oh yeah? That's right. We have a raiding game in 2 weeks, Issei said as he perked up. Bad idea, kiddo. You need to rest, and we need to make sure everything is stable again, Azazel says in his teacher dad mode. I can't. I promised him a fight, and I won't go back on my word, Issei said with determination. We could delay the match, Azazel said, trying to reason with him. No. That would cause so much trouble just because of me, as I know many people are looking forward to it, Issei said, staring at Azazel. Still selfless even after everything you went through, kiddo, Azazel says as he laughs. Well, I made a promise to myself years ago, and that is I refuse to be just like everyone else, Issei said while smiling. That's admirable, but we don't know what will happen if you fight, as we don't want the same thing to happen again during the match, Azazel said as he explained himself. Well, if I go back on my word, then I'll feel like I just insulted Seiruk, and I can't live knowing I did such a cruel thing like that, Issei said as he pleaded his case. Well then, if anything bad happens, then we got to intervene, okay? Azazel said as a compromise. Deal, it's a meet you halfway, Issei said as he smiled up at Azazel once more. Okay. Let's get you something to eat first, as you got skinnier, Azazel said as he got up. Once Issei and Azazel left his room and then sat down in the cafeteria to have some food, then Circeix, Graphia, Ravel, and Rosways came to visit him to see how he was doing and make sure they got anything for him. Drake also woke up after a while feeling that things were getting back to normal. You had us worried, Issei, Rosways said as she tried to hold back her tears. It's good to see you that you're awoken, partner, Drake says as he smiles. Sorry, everyone, and thanks for the support. I already feel better because of it, Issei says as he smiles at them with such warmth. Are we going to ignore the issues? Graphia said in her usual stoic look, but had a hint of concern in it. Not at all, Issei. I know you have just recently woken up and all, but we need answers to what happened to cause this. Sursages said out of worry. I understand sursages, but I only remember bits of it sadly. It was when I was woken up when Irina was in my room asking for forgiveness, and I told her I wasn't ready but needed more time, but the main thing is I wasn't harsh, I did it in a comforting way. She then asked if I was coming down for breakfast as it would be ready soon, but I declined as I wasn't feeling well. After she left, I fell back to sleep. Still, after I woke up and went downstairs to grab something, I got ambushed by my parents asking why I had not been down, etc. It started hurting my chest like my heart was going to explode. Say I kind of went draconic voice and said enough and collapsed. Then once I had gotten myself back up, I went back into my room and started having a panic attack after that. I didn't remember. Issei explains himself as he looks down afterwards. Chapter 7. Focusing on Surg. Once Rojuas and Ravel left, only Circeix, Graphia, and Azazel were left to talk to him. Issei wanted to ask a question about the stray attack as it puzzled him. The Circeix, have you found any clue about who that stray was that we attacked in the familiar forest? Issei asks out of curiosity. Sadly, no identity came up on our system, but we did notice a lot of things that didn't make sense. Circeix says, why do you ask, Issei? Well, it was weird as it cut me. It felt like my energy spiked but disappeared, so I wondered if it transferred something to me, like to affect my sacred gear, maybe. Issei says while explaining his thoughts. Maybe you did start having unusual signs after battling it, even though it didn't help with what happened, Azazel said as he chimed into the conversation. So, what are you thinking, Issei? Circeus asks, wondering what the boy thought. Well, if it affected my sacred gear to be more sensitive to my emotions, there's got to be a way to control it. I'm guessing it's unstable, my magic reserves, maybe, Issei said what was on his mind. Well, would explain how unusual it was, but then again, to make your arm return to how it was when you came out of Juggernaut Drive, they must be some of your DNA mixed into that stray like an experiment. Azazel said, now serious. Right. That is problematic, Azazel. If I send you the results and the sample, would you like to test your theory? Circeix said with concern. Yeah? No problem. If it is that, then we will have a problem, cause imagine if they have released more, which could be even more powerful, or even worse, able to adapt it for them to use that power, Azazel says, getting up from his seat in panic. Right, that's not good at all. I get it sent to you ASAP, Circeus said as he nodded to Graphia. Okay, Issei, we are going to go now. But please don't push yourself too hard and we will check up on you, Graphia said as she bent down and hugged him before she and Circeus disappeared. Right, kiddo? What are you planning to do now? Azazel asks while looking down at Issei. Well, I would like to go back into training as soon as possible, but if what I thought is true with your theory, then I'm going to meditate and talk to Drake to find a way to counter this problem, Issei said with determination. Well, rest in your room for tonight, then tomorrow we head back to yours and do small training if you like, Azazel said, impressed with their new thinking of Issei. As Issei got up and left with Azazel to go back to his room and go their separate ways, Issei then laid on his bed and got into a position to meditate and talk to his friend and partner. Hey partner, how can I help you today in here? Dreg says in his mindscape. Dreg, did you hear what we thought the problem was to spike the sacred gear? Issei asks out of curiosity. Yes, I did, and I would agree something like that could affect the state with a conflict ion, so I guessing we are going to find a way to outdo to this power source, Dreg asks, looking down at his partner. Exactly, I have a crazy idea. To be honest, you know how my energy spiked when I sacrificed my arm back in the day? Issei asks. Yeah, but I don't know if that would help again, Drake questioned the logic. Well, my thought, is it possible to use some of the magic from my evil pieces to absorb its energy, and also turn me into a dragon to be able to stabilize it? Issei asks a good question. That could be possible, but are you sure about this, partner, as you would lose whatever humanity you have left? Drake asks, making sure he understands the risk. Yes. I'm positive, and I wouldn't lose it cause it's me. We are talking about the person who makes the impossible possible, Issei said with a smirk. I like that resolve. Okay, partner, let's begin. Just to warn you, when you wake up, your senses will be turned into that of a dragon, meaning the sight, smell, and thoughts will be quicker. Also, your strength and magic reserves will go even higher than you were original. The downside is that you'll be more affected to Dragon Slayer weapons. Drake explains what will happen. Okay, partner, let's go and outsmart these bastards thinking they can knock me down, Issei said with a massive grin. Issei then went to sleep while Drake was doing what Issei asked to try, and it worked. He borrowed enough power from his evil pieces to enhance his body and organs and absorb the new energy, disrupting his Kai to the sacred gear. When it was the next day, Issei woke up to find his appearance had changed. He was 6'2" with a very muscular body but not overdone. His eyes went from brown to emerald and his hair went from brown to brown with red highlights underneath. Well, my sense is like on overdrive and I feel stronger, Issei said to himself. Morning, partner. I see you noticed some of the changes. Just to let you know, it has succeeded. You are now pretty much a dragon hybrid, Drake said with pride. Sweet means I need to get used to my senses and power. Oh, I know. I wonder if Tiamat or Tannen can help me with these, Issei asked. Yes, that is possible. Tiamat would help out, being your familiar and also the strongest dragon king, Drake said, agreeing to what Issei was thinking. Right then, the first possible thing to do is contact her first, then do a bit of training somewhere before going home, Issei said with a smirk. Issei then contacts Tiamat through magic communication to see if she could help with the dragon side he is now. Hey Tiamat, are you free to help train me in something? Issei asked through the communication circle. Sure, what would you want training in? Tiamat asked curiously. Well, I'm now a dragon hybrid due to having some problems which I can explain in person, but want to train to able to use my new dragon side, Issei explains. Oh well, sure. I could teach you the basics, but for anything else I would ask Tanyon as he's having his techniques on things, Tiamat said. Oh yeah, I remember this first time Tanyon trained me. He was so hard on me, but it helped out a lot. Do you think he let us train there as I don't want to go home just yet? Issei asks, hoping she says yes. Sure, want to talk about it later as I'm guessing something happened with you and the peerage you're in, Tiamat asks, now even more curious. Yeah, it probably is best to let you know about the situation is only fair, so I see you in about an hour, Issei asked. Yeah, no problem. I'll inform Tannen of mine and your arrival. He might also chip in as well, Tiamat says. Sweet tea, can't wait. Okay, see you soon, Tiamat, and thanks again, Issei said as they cancelled the communication circle. Okay, Drake, we're all set. Now time to get ready and leave a note for Azazel to let him know where I've gone. With you, partner, time to get some training in for your new body and senses. Tiamat and Tannen might also be able to train you in some more moves with Ascalon. Dreg says, come to think, Dreg was an Ascalon, a lance of sorts. From what I read about it on the net, it was used by St. George, who killed a dragon with it. Issei asked his partner. Actually, I'm not sure, to be honest. I did hear rumors about it. Maybe could will it to change its shape. Drake said, interested in this idea. Who might ask Tannen and Tiamat? Maybe they know more about it. If it can change by will might come useful, don't you think? Issei asks his friend. Yeah. It will as means can use it in any ways possible until we get the other weapons from their hiding spot, Drake said, now smirking. That's what I was thinking, due to not having much time left till the match with Sarg, plus it is a nice surprise for him, Issei said, grinning with this idea. 1 hour time skip. An hour passed, and Issei was ready to go and meet Tiamat and Tannen to do some intense training using the new dragon abilities he gained and try new strategies out. Right time to head out, partner. A note is left on the desk to let him know where I am, so if he needs to check on me, be easier for him, Issei said as he prepared to teleport to Tiamat. Issei then disappears through his magic circle to his destination, but it also alerts Azazel when he is making his way to Issei with Razwas. We need to go to Issei's room now. I just felt his magic flare up, Azazel said with concern. Right. I felt it too, hope nothing bad has happened to him, Razwa said, a bit worried. As Azazel and Razwa sent to Issei's room, they just miss him as both looked at each other and sigh. Azazel notices a letter on the side table which he walks over to pick up and read. Issei left a letter to guess it was probably explaining where he's going maybe, but knowing him, it'd be a training of some sorts, Azazel says as he smirks, knowing what Issei is like. Knowing him most likely would, as he doesn't want to break his promise to Sarag. I wonder where he's gone unless he headed back home. Razwa said while pondering. Well, let me find out. Azazel says as he opens up the letter to read it. Dazazel. Yo sensei, if you're wondering where I am, don't worry. I've gone to do some training with Tannen and Tiamat to counter this new source of energy that entered my body somehow by absorbing it, as well as one or two of my evil pieces in my body to turn me into a dragon hybrid, which was my idea before you think I was forced into it. Braig said I'm currently 60% dragon, 30% devil, and 10% human, and that was to be able to stay in human form. The changes I got are fantastic. I not only got a way better sense, but also my strength and speed have even gone in response to thinking about counters or attacks. Appearance-wise, I've grown to about 6 feet 2 inches and have subtle red and white highlights under my brown hair. Also, my eyes have an emerald hue but are still brown, so the training I'm doing is basically to get me used to the new power, so what best way to train it with an actual dragon? Ali was willing to be teaching sword skills and other stuff, which I ain't secret until the day of the match. Until, by the way, can you ask Michael about Ascalon if it can change itself from a sword to something else? I remember reading about it being a lance or spear that St. George used to slay a dragon. Thanks for looking after me as always. If need me, you know where. I'll also tell Rosewoods to bring me any homework I have missed, please. Your lovable student to say hi to. He cracks me up, but that's an exciting development to do, and to sacrifice power from 2 of his pieces to absorb this unknown power to turn him more dragon. Looks like Issei is slowly returning to himself, to us at least, and his idea about Ascalon turning into a land spear would be good to counter certain things if used correctly. Well, if it's able to at least, and I might give him some magic homework with his school ones which might help him out as well, Razwa said as she was happy to hear Issei was being mindful in his training his new abilities. I couldn't agree more with you, Razwa's, on that. I think it is safe to say not to say anything to the others just yet. I know they've been moaning about him and worry. Just say his healing and under training and his mind with Drake. Right. So we better get going and do these tasks Issei has asked of us, Razwa said as she prepared her magic to leave. With that, both Razwa's and Azazel disappear to get prepared for Issei to help him in any way they can. Underworld Dragon Mountain. As Issei was coming out of his magic circle, his sense picked up an incoming attack which he quickly moved out of the way. Boon. I saw that coming, Tiamat. Nice try though, Issei said as he laughed. Worth it, but at least your senses have improved to see it is coming, Tiamat said, puffing her chest out in pride. To be fair, Tannen used to do it all the time, so it's natural to react to it, Issei said as he looked around for Tannen. Speaking of, where is he? He said he would be here soon as he was just doing the last bit of training for the hatchlings, Tiamat explains. Yeah, I can understand that. So while we wait, how about we train for a bit, then maybe help me get used to my dragon side of things, Issei says with a wide grin. Sounds fun. I hope you are ready for a smackdown, you fufufu, Tiamat says as he giggles cutely. Bring it, my chaotic queen, Issei said with a cute nickname for Tiamat which caused her to blush a bit. Smooth talking is not going to make me go easy on you, Tiamat says with a sadistic grin. After that, both Tiamat and Issei clashed with their fists and legs at such speeds without the help of the boosted gear. Tiamat was impressed as he was even without it in his base form, and now wondering how much difference it was with the help of Drag involved. As Tiamat raised the level of strength, so did Issei, and all you could hear was the collisions of their attacks making a thunderous sound. Also, small craters were formed underneath them by the pressure of each attack. About a couple of hours after the training with Tiamat, Tannen made his appearance and saw the impact of their training. He was stunned but also happy at the results. Now then, Tiamat and Issei, it's a pleasure seeing you again, but how come you liked to train last time? I remember you used women's parts to strengthen yourself, Tannen asks with a curious look. Yes, that time was a bit bad on my part, which I have now resolved and doing it properly. Also, I had a bit of discovery of how things were not as they seemed which I will be happy to explain whenever, Issei said as he explained. Please explain, as I can feel a bit of pain because of this discovery, Tenon said, with Tiamat nodding, wanting to know what happened to him. As Issei sighed, he explained what happened between him and the other members of the Orc, minus Rosways and Ravel, as they stuck with him and helped him in ways others didn't, but were still hurting from experience, but also told him about this new source of power that inflicted him to such a sad state. That spoiled brat, I can't believe she would say such a thing after all you did for her and the other members of the Orc. Tenon growled. Well, I heard of your triumphs beforehand, but even that's harsh to do such a thing like that to you when you sacrificed yourself for her many times. Tiamat also growled. Well, now you know why I'm taking things more seriously now, even became less perverted, as I have seen how it's been used against me so many times now, Issei said with determination. Well, I'm glad of the resolve and to come out even stronger because of it. So what kind of training are you looking for now, then? Tenon asks with a curious look. Well, Tiamat just helped me get used to my dragon side of things, so maybe we can focus on other abilities and also use sword training if possible, Issei says as he explains what he's after. Also can use a time barrier to spend more training than just wasting a week. Sure, that's possible and would be fun training, but why want to learn more of the sword? You're always a fist fighter kind of guy, Tiamat asks out of curiosity. Well, normally yes. But since I have Ascalon, and kind of feel like I'm wasting the ability to use it at full potential as I'm not exactly trained in that area, Issei said as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, at least you admit such weakness and want to improve on it. Most people would completely ignore it and cover it with other things, Tenon says while smirking. I agree with Tenon. It's better to know what you are weakest at, and to improve on it is commendable, Tiamat said as she nodded in agreement. Well, not just that, guys. I also want to train with like a spear, as I think there's a way to turn Ascalon into a lance form if my findings were correct, Issei said, looking at them. Oh well, come to think of it, back in the day when St. George was about, it was known as a lance spear in those days, Tenon said while putting his hand under his chin. So I was right about that finding then. I hope Azazel-sensei can find out how to turn it on a whim, as it comes useful in many strategies in the future, Issei says, now grinning, finding truth in what he's read in books. During the week of training, which was a month worth with the time barrier, Issei managed to control his dragon ability side, but also became more skillful with the sword and spear. He also became more feasible with magic, thanks to Rozier's homework with the rest of his main schoolwork. Also, Azazel helped with Ascalon when he visited Michael to talk about it. Well, thanks for the training, Tiamat and Tenon. This was fun, and I feel even stronger than before, Issei said with a smile. You're welcome, Issei. It was indeed fun, and you are pretty much on par with us Dragon Kings now, which says something, Tenon said with a smirk. I agree with Tenon, and with the new tactics you learned for possible uses against Sarag would be entertaining to see, and the ultimate test, Tiamat also said with a smirk. Yeah, but of course, it's probably not how we tried it, but when the opportunity comes for it, I will use it at its full potential, Issei says while smirking in response. Yes, it will. And if you need anything else, just let me know, so I'll see you around, Tenon said before flying up and disappearing. Well, I'd better go back to the familiar forest myself and make sure nothing is going amiss there. Also, if anything, just let me know and I'll come right over, Tiamat says as she hugs Issei before disappearing into her magic circle to take her back home. Well, I now guess I'd better message Rosways and Azazel to let them know I am heading home, Issei said aloud. As Issei finished sending a message to Rosways and Azazel, he got his magic circle ready to head home and do whatever was left of his training and catch up with his friends. The Hayada residence. Roswas, Azazel, and the rest of the Orc were currently in the living room watching past raiding games of Sarag to devise a plan for all of Sarag's peerages. Suddenly, they heard sound notifications from both Azazel and Roswas's phones. Both of them looked at their phones and told others to head down to the basement, as Issei was on his way back. Everyone was happy and quickly got up to run down, including Issei's parents. As everyone made it to the basement, they saw a magic circle appear up, and suddenly, Issei appeared through it and looked at everyone like what you are looking at the face. Okay, hi everyone, I didn't expect this kind of welcome back, Issei said as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, we have not seen you since your accident with your arm, and Azazel wouldn't let us come visit you, Ria said with a sad look. Well, yeah, I was pretty can even ask Ravel or your brother Surzex about it as they saw me when I was getting treated. Issei said nonchalantly. Well, at least you're better now though, and a lot different. Aquino says while admiring his new look. Well, had to do a lot of training and other things to counter this power that somehow enters my body. Issei said, shrugging his shoulders. I can tell by the results now. I wonder how strong you have gotten. Azazel says while smirking. Well, since we all here can train since we all got to fight Sarag, it's time to see how all your training been going while I was away, Issei said as he looked at the rest of the orc. What you mean all of us? Kiba said as he tilted his head. Well, all of you are against me as I'm the closest to strength as Zarg, so it is a test, but to make it fair, I won't use any of my magic that I learned. Issei said as he got into a battle stance. Oh, and Irina, take my parents out or put a barrier around so they don't get hurt. No, Issei, we not leaving. I want to see the kind of man you become. We have been told the truth. Mickey said with a pleading look. Issei, we're sorry for how we treated you and never tried to see what you've been going through. Please let us see how much you trained. Gora also said with a pleading look. Ain, so be it, but be careful, Irina, make sure the barrier is strong, and Azazel, you might want to enhance it just in case because if they hurt, I'll kick your ass, Issei says while smirking. Alright, okay, will do. Irina says while stunned, suddenly creating the barrier with Azazel enhancing it with his magic. No balance breaker? Zenobia says in question, tilting his head. Yeah, no balance breaker. I need to test my strength, so bring it. Issei said while doing the bring it signs with his hands while grinning. But that, everyone charged at him while his parents feared he might get hurt. Kiba, Zenobia, and Irina had swords in their hands. Aquino prepared her dragon lightning, Rias used her POD, Rosways used multiple elemental spells, and all headed towards Issei. Issei suddenly moved with a boost of speed and disarmed Zenobia, broke Kiba's sword, and sent Irina's sword into the air. He then dodged both Rias and Aquino's attacks, but Rosways' attacks made contact, but Issei came out of it unharmed. That's pathetic. Stop holding back. That means you too, Gasper. Don't hide anymore. You have power, so use it as Sarag won't give you an opportunity or enemies. Issei said while lighting all the group's determination. Esper was in awe after watching Issei stop and avoid their attacks so easily without laying a finger on them. Gasper then realized that Issei wasn't even using his sacred gear. When he saw this, he tried to freeze time, but as soon as he accessed his sacred gear, Issei disappeared, leaving a bewildered Gasper. Where you go, senpai? Gasper asks, confused. You can stop time but are too slow to react, Issei said from behind Gasper. Once Gasper heard his voice behind him, he turned around to see Issei towering over him. He wasn't used to seeing Issei in this form, and Gasper suddenly looked down in defeat. Gasper? Asil said as he sighed. So maybe speed isn't your thing yet. I have an idea. Vampires have super strength, right? Asil nodded but kept it down, not looking up at Asil. They become stronger when they drink human blood or other creatures, correct? Issei said with a question at the end. Ispar nodded again with that response, still not looking up at him. Ispar, you have human blood in your veins. With your vampire strength, let it flow, don't hold back, Issei said, trying to encourage him. But I'm too small to possess such strength. I don't even know if it's possible, Gasper said, now looking up at Issei. Looks can be deceiving. Kaneko proved that every time I sparred with her, I lived to tell tales. I can handle what you can throw at me, Issei said, now head patting Gasper. Oh, okay, Gasper said in a stutter. Right. Dig deep inside. Think of your body as one-of-kind sacred gear, Issei said, encouraging him even more. As everyone was watching, this made them happy at the sight. Despite the bad blood that happened, Issei still is helping Gasper become stronger. Gasper closed his eyes and concentrated as he felt his blood pumping through his body, then felt the power. Suddenly his muscle tone increased. Issei saw this and then promoted to Rook and entered his balance breaker. As soon as he crossed his arms, Gasper opened his eyes and threw a punch. It was a direct hit and pushed Issei back a few meters. The armor around his arms started to crack, and a few pieces fell off cause of the impact. Well done, Gasper, I'm proud of you, Issei said as he ruffled Gasper's hair. Thanks, big brother. Gasper said as he looked up at Issei with a smile. I'm glad I could help. Now all of you together again, Issei said as he looked at the rest of the group. Right. Everyone shouted as they got serious, and didn't hold back and attacked with everything they got and were in sync. Chapter 8. Battle of True Kings. Day of the fated battle. The morning after the most intense training session and members train, Issei and the others were finally prepared for the raiding game with Sarab. Meanwhile, his parents tried to convince him not to go and fight, but Issei just ignored it and headed towards the teleportation circle with the others and went into the underworld. Ria's and Sarug's team had an interview before the battle, which went apart from some reporters asking stupid questions about if he would poke Ria's boobs to get stronger during the match. He ignored all the silly questions and any related to the match, and how they matched up were answered professionally. Ida-san, you seem like a completely different person. May I ask what brought this kind of change? Asked one of the reporters of the Underworld News. I'm not all the different. All that has changed is my focus on giving Sareg-sama a good match, and also giving Gremory-sama the match she so wishes to win. Issei said in a stoic tone. May I ask what is happening with the Grabbing Dragon show? A reporter from Kids World asked. It's on hiatus for now as both my master and her queen are preparing to start college in the human world, Kiba replies, as he could tell Issei winced at the name. At the end of the interviews, the team with Azazel sat in a limo, heading to the stadium that would host the raiding game battle. All the girls and Azazel noticed Issei was in the corner with his eyes closed and arms crossed. Oh no, is he taking a nap? Asia asked, a bit worried about Issei. Think so? There's still some time before we reach the stadium, so let him rest. Zenobia said while shrugging her shoulders. Well, he's been having trouble sleeping lately, so his sleeping pattern is messed up. Haikino said while looking at Issei slightly worried in her way. Rias, being naive and not wanting Issei to ignore them, placed a hand on his shoulder to wake him up, but by doing so, Issei grabbed it with a tight grip out of instinct without opening his eyes. Ouch. Issei, it's just me. Can you let go, please? It hurts, Rias says while trying to get out of the grip. A few seconds later, Issei let her go but gave her a death glare for waking him up during meditation. I would advise you not to do that again, as I was meditating, and what you did could have disrupted my chi flow, Issei said flatly with a bit of anger. Can we just talk? Rias asked while rubbing her wrist where Issei grabbed her as it stung from his pressure. Oh, hell no. She going to try and creep her way back in forgiveness after what she did? Drake thought to himself. I have nothing to say to you, and also, this isn't the best time for obvious reasons, so just focus on the upcoming fight, Issei said as he turned around to look outside the window and blanked everyone. Rias was upset by what he said, and so were the others except for Azazel and Razways, as they knew she had it coming. Rias just sat next to him in silence, then she tried to hold his hand but Issei moved it, put some headphones in his ears and played songs on his phone. He started turning the volume up to block out any of their voices and then closed his eyes again. He's still so distant from us, Aquino says sadly. Yeah, he still hates us, but most likely hates me the most. I don't blame him, but I just wish he would talk to me, Ria said as she looked down at the floor with a defeated look. Once the match is over, you can try to patch things up with him, but for now, do what he said and focus on the upcoming match, Azazel said in his teacher mode. Right. Everyone says, but in a sad way. As Issei and the rest of the orc make their way to the seating area before being called to the arena to start the raiding game, Issei and Azazel are talking about something other orc members are confused about. I don't know what he has planned. So, Sensei, were you able to get permission for what I asked about? Issei asks his friend and teacher. Oh yeah, and you picked a good one to use, Azazel says with his usual smirk and thumbs up. No, what are you guys talking about? Kaneko asks while cutely tilting her head. Don't worry, just something to make things a bit more entertaining, Issei says with a smile which held no anger, which made Kaneko blush and nodded her head before grabbing chocolate. Oh, make what more entertaining, Riser says as he enters, making everyone wide-eyed as we weren't expecting him to come. Oh hey, Kentucky, what are you doing here? Issei says in a mischievous tone. Watch it you, Riser says before fist bumping Issei and laughing. What you doing here, Riser? Rias asks with a stumped look. I just came to wish you guys luck and also ask Issei something in private, Riser said, which confused everyone. Sure, let's go to the next room so we can talk, Issei said as he followed Riser. As Issei and Riser enter the room, he quickly puts a barrier up so no one can listen in, knowing they will eavesdrop on the conversation. So what's up, Riser? Issei asks, tilting his head. Ravel told me what happened between you and the rest of the peerage and also your family. I just want to make sure you're okay, as not only my rival but a close friend after what you did for me and even straightened me up from my past self, so to speak. Riser says, looking at his Issei. Yeah, I'm okay. Ravel and Rojuis, including Azazel, helped me out. Yes, I am pissed at them, but I'm happy away cause once this raiding game is over, I will be free to travel a bit and ask if Ravel wants to join me for where I want to go and collect something. Issei says, looking at Riser. Oh well, I have to ask my mother for that first, but I'm sure she will be happy too. May I ask what you are seeking? Riser asks out of curiosity. Well, it's something that Drake's past host left behind and Drake thinks it might be useful for me in the future, plus it is nice to explore a bit if you get what I mean, Issei says as he chuckles. Oh, this be interesting then. Well, again I wish you luck and hope we could train together in future, as one of my pieces would love to speak to you, Riser says as he waves goodbye. As Issei re-entered the room with the rest of the peerage, it was time to head to the arena, and they could hear Azazel in the commentary box. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official raiding game between Rias Gremory and Sarud Bale. The game will begin in 5 minutes, so make sure you all seated down and get what you need, as this is going to be a wild match. I can already sense it. The barriers will also be placed for the protection of you, the audience, said Azazel through the microphone. Well, I'll be heading to the viewing area and meet Ravel there, as she saved me a seat. Good luck all, Irina says as she leaves and waves. Issei, be careful, okay? Will do Irina say hi to Ravel for me? Issei said. The Orc and Cyrog's group entered the arena and sat down while the roles were explained and the type of game it would be, which ended up being a dice game where both kings roll a dice and the number equals whatever piece that can enter. Due to Issei having all 8 pawns, his points count to number 8 for the dice for the kings. Rias was 8 and Sarab was 12 due to his experience in raiding games from before. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this game going. So please, will the respected kings roll the dice and prepare for the first match? Azazel says through the comment box. Both kings roll their respective dice in a 3, which meant knights or bishops could go. Both kings choose their knights to enter the first round. Okay. For the first match, looks like the battle of knights with Kiba Yoda for the Gremory and Baruka Furcas for the ball. With the sound of the buzzer started the match. Azazel says afterwards, the buzzer went off and both knights fought for their respected kings, with Kiba pulling the win with his new subspecies balance breaker. AN. The matches are similar to canon for most of the matches apart from Zenovia's and Gasper, as both stayed rather than Gasper retiring. As the match progressed, with just only Rias, Issei, Asia, and Gasper left, it was all down to them against Serg. His pawn, which still hadn't entered Serg, didn't want to wait to fight Issei, so he suggested a battle royal, which was accepted due to Asia being a healer than a combatant, and Gasper tired. And his previous match it was up to Rias and Issei to make it a victory. So, Serg, I'm guessing your pawn is your trump card, Issei says as he smirks, knowing it was strong and probably a sacred gear user. Issei, what do you mean? Rias asks, confused about what he means. You can't feel the power of his sacred gear? Issei said with a deadpan look. Nothing can get past you, Issei. Yes. After I heard about your new powers from the Kyoto battle, I decided to bring out my trump card, Serg says while grinning. Shall I, master? Serg's pawn says in a monotone voice. I suppose it's time, go Regulus, Serg shouted. The pawn took off his mask and began transforming into a 3-meter-tall golden lion and roared, "Wait! That's the Lion of Nemea, one of the 13 Longinus gears. It was MIA, and all this time you had it." Azazel says in shock. "Ah shit, he doesn't have a gear. He is one," Issei says, palm facing himself. "Rias, you won't be able to defeat it outright. Concentrate on keeping him away from you as much as possible and don't leave any openings, right? Just be safe, Issei." Rias says, knowing it will be a tough battle. "Regulus, leave the red dragon to me to handle Rias, but don't kill her," Sereg says while smirking. "Here I, Sereg." Issei shouts as he launches off the ground at breaking speed, leaving a crater where he stands, shocking the audience. "Bring it, Issei!" shouted Sereg as he got in position to counter until Lissy disappeared, then reappeared behind him, Axel kicking to the side of his face. Boom! The audience was shocked at the speed and power of the Red Dragon Emperor, and he wasn't even in his balance breaker yet. As soon as the dust settles, you see Sereg stunned but not out, and wiping the blood from his mouth. Then suddenly, music started playing and Issei threw a thumbs up and got into the zone, now 100% focused on his target. I will write my playlist of music at the end of the chapter, but also think of your own choice as I know everyone has different tastes. Nice on there, Issei caught off guard, and loving the music choice, so let's give the audience what they want. Sereg says, getting ready for the next hit. "Thank you. I trained hard as you are a worthy person to fight with, so I wouldn't dishonor you, so let's duke it out as they say," Issei says, getting ready to launch again. From then on, both Sereg and Issei exchange blows with both their fists and legs countering each other with a massive smirk on their face, leaving the audience in awe at the power and battle going off. Both were now separated and looked at each other while stretching their limbs like a warm-up that stunned everyone watching, including the mouse. "Well, I think that's a good warm-up. What do you think, Sereg?" Issei said as he stretched his arms while looking to see how Arius and Regulus were doing. "You defiantly trained harder to keep up with me in just your base form and no boosted gear. I am amazed, but now I think it's time to step it up and don't worry about Regulus and Rias. I did say not to go too wild as want to savor our battle," Sereg says as he releases more of his Taoki and powering up. "True, I agree with you on that, so let me show you fruits of my training," Issei says as he summoned his boosted gear, but also on his other arm, as well as armor for his leg as doing a partial balance breaker. Wow, Issei learned how to do partial balance breaker. Now that's interesting, Issei. You better come to the lab, I need to check it out properly, Azazel says over the commentary chat, making Issei sweat bullets. Round 2 of the battle between Sarag and Issei begins as soon as Sarag disappears and reappears in front of Issei but is blocked. Then Issei sends a roundhouse kick quicker than Sarag can see and gets pushed back. Boost. 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 With that, Issei is on the offensive, sending blow after blow, creating small craters from the force he and Sereg were giving out. Still, suddenly, something unexpected got Sereg, and that's when Issei brought Ascalon out and managed to cut his arm to send him on edge but not out. Sereg was on the defensive but managed to start pushing Issei back by releasing more of his Taki to keep up with his boosts, and then landed a blow on Issei, pushing him back, which Issei smirked but got in position again to carry on the onslaughts. While this was going on, the audience enjoyed the match a lot, including Circeus and Graphia, with Lord and Lady Gremory cheering their daughter on and supporting Issei's cause of her mess up. Up in the private booth. Wow, Ice-kun is holding his own. Wonder what kind of training he did to hold off Sereg so easy. Lady Gremory says, well, admiring her son-in-law. I know, dear, he's doing well. It's just a shame that Rias and the others messed up, and I hope she can make things right. But from what I heard, she's been making it worse, as well as the others. Lord Gremory says while sighing, well, I have warned the men only their own doing, even with Issei as a free piece. He could not have come today, but he honored the request of Serg, and it just shows his worth. Sergatia says while seeing Graphia looking at Issei with a small smile, showing how proud she is. Yes, and I'm proud of him if things don't get resolved with him and Rias. I was thinking of probably adopting him, as I know you said he had a rough patch with his parents. Lady Gremory says, a finger on her chin. Now, dear, you told me off before trying to push him, calling me father and your mother. I don't think it would go well, not yet at least. Lord Gremory says, making Venelin a pout. He is right, mother, but I am going to push for Issei to make him into a high class instead of going to mid-class. First. He's earned it on my account. Sirzek says while looking at his wife with thought. Oh, that'd be wonderful news if you make it happen. Do you know what he will do after this game is over, as being a free piece and all? Lord Gremory asks in thought. Well, he said he is going to explore an area which has some bits of dregs from a past host which would help him and train some more. Sirzek says while smiling. Wonder what that be, but either way, least to say already planning what to do rather than getting held back or down, should I say, Lord Gremory says while pondering. Could be anything, sweetheart, but I hope everything will be okay, as I know how stubborn my daughter can be. Lady Gremory says as she holds on to her husband's hand. Yes, that is true, dear, Lord Gremory said as he accepted his wife's hand and rubbed his thumb in a circular motion. Well, we just have to see what the future holds after this match is done, Sirzek says while looking back at the match in awe of Issei's new power. Back to fight. The match is pretty much stalemate at the moment, with either side giving up. And now, seeing Sarag wearing Regulus in his balance breaker form after nearly retiring, Ria says Issei gave her a phoenix tear and told her to rest. At the same time, he takes on the newly formed Sarag in his balance breaker armor. I hope you are ready, as this is going to be the true power of the King of the Beasts, Sarag boasts while releasing his full talkie and decoration. I wouldn't say it better myself, Sarag, so let me give you my new improved balance breaker. Balance break, shouted Issei as a huge aura went over Issei, sending shockwaves throughout the arena and arousing the female population with his dominating aura demanding respect. Welsh Dragon balance breaker, scale armor improved. Responded Drake through the boosted gear. Once the aura was gone and formed, Issei's new balance breaker with such deep red highlighting Drake's color, and representing the Gremory color, and showing how strong this variant is while making Azazel foam at the mouth at this new armor upgrade. The next thing you see is Issei disappearing and appearing in front of Sarag. Heads up, Ascalon spear mode. Issei shouted and hit Sarag right in the stomach. But sudden change, Ascalon was in spear mode and hit Sarag straight in the stomach with such force when he landed, he made a massive crater. But suddenly, a loud boom. He heard two charged blasts coming from Issei from what looked like his bishop form, which left Sarag stunned as shaking from such power and tactical moves. He was now raising his Taki even move and vanished to appear in front of Issei, but blocked his attack with his rook form on his arms and managed to deal more blows to the exposed area that was on Sarag's chest. But what people didn't notice was the fact Issei had his knight form but on his legs, so he still had speed with the power of the rook. Wow. I am struggling to stay up. This has been the best match so far, and it has felt fulfilled. Thank you, Issei. I hope our next battle will be as you as a king rather than just a pawn with your team. Sarag says as he fades into retirement. Thank you, Sarag, and I will honor you again when that time comes, but for now, we can have training spars if you accept. Issei says as he smiles. Sarag Bale retires. Your winner, Rias Gremory, shouted Azazel through the commentator's box. After that message, all you heard was the fans and the other audience cheer for the match of the lifetime. With that, a magic circle appeared above the Op-Eye Dragon fans' corner, and seen merchandise coming out of it, all signed by Issei and others for the kids, which were loved by their families as well as the most, as didn't expect that to happen. But they noticed Issei winking and smiling at Ravel for excellent job on her part. After the match, everyone was teleported to the medical room to be treated and rest from a good match. Both SG and Issei were sharing a room and resting till they decided to talk. Sarag wanted to know what had happened since they saw each other, as could they tell something was off. So Issei, what happened to you? I can tell something happened for you to go to such lengths in training and not show any sign of perversion. It's like looking at a completely different person. Asks out of curiosity. Well, something happened between me and the rest of the orc, and just say I found some truths that I won't say as it's their problem, and only a select couple have been there for me and know the truth. Issei says to Sarag while staring at the ceiling. Well, I hope whatever happens sorts itself out then, as you are a good person with a heart of gold, which is very rare to find, Sarek says. Also, I enjoyed that match. Maybe whenever you are free and just want to hang out we can spare and maybe train together with my peerage if you're up for it. That'd be awesome, and it is kinda sorted to a certain extent, but the rest is up to them on how to fix the problem they did, Issei says, making Sarek wonder what the girls did for him to be like this. While Sarek and Issei were chatting, they heard a knock on the door, and Sursages walked in with Graphia behind him, looking at the two with big smiles. Hey Sarek and Issei, that was a brilliant match, and shows how many promises you young devils have to show for the future. If I may, I need to tell Issei something, Sursages says to the pair. Thank you, my lord, of course. Would you like me to leave so I can speak in private? Sarek asks. No, I like you to hear this too. Issei, myself and the rest of the mouse, including the Devil Council, have seen fit to promote you to a high-class devil and skip mid-class. Also Akino and Kiba are getting promoted, but only to mid-class, Suzuki says with a big grin on his face. But how would I have thought I will be doing mid-class first? Wouldn't this cause a big problem in certain areas? Issei says, shocked and confused, making everyone giggle at his response. Normally, yes, but dude, what you achieved in B-through and how you fought with Sarek here, they understood what needed to be done, so in a few days' time, before you head out to your journey, Graphia will fetch you to take you to Ajuka to give you your evil pieces, Sursages says with his hand on Issei's shoulder. Wow, thank you. I will make you proud as a fellow devil and other things, Issei says in a whisper. Thathic, Sursages heard and smirked. You're welcome. Okay. I'll leave you to rest for now and we'll see you soon, Issei, Suzuka says as he gets up and leaves the room with Graphia behind him, who also has a slight smile on her face. Hungrits Issei. I guess your dream to become a kind has finally been achieved. May I ask where you are planning to go on your trip? Asks out of curiosity. Thank you, and I don't know specific, but it's somewhere hidden by the past user of the boosted gear, which Drake said might be useful to me so such times, Issei said, trying not to leak too much info out. Okay. By the way, how did Yamaniji to change Ascalon from a sword to a spear? As I always heard, it was a sword, Sarek asks with a curious face. Well, actually Ascalon has ability to change from spear to sword depending on the user at the time. Not many knew about this, since last time the spear mode was used was by St. George when he slayed a dragon, hence why it became a dragon slayer weapon, Issei said, shedding some light to Ascalon. Oh, it's first time I heard about this. But then again, a lot was hidden between the factions when first had conflict with each other, Sarek says, now questioning himself. Well, it was written in the Bible, so it would be hard for you to know about it, but was also some parts was posted on to the internet these days. If you know what you're looking for, Issei says to make Sarek palm face himself, not thinking of that. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.